All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council. Today is June 27th, 2023. It is right now 6:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Yes, Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Hassan Ahmad.
Here.
Mo Beydoun.
Here.
Nancy Breyer. Robert Constant. Absent. Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Next up on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. This one will be led by our Delta Airlines main coordinator, Mr. Hussein Berry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berry. Next up on our agenda is item 2A, City Council Proclamation, and this will be led by Councilman Hassan Ahmad.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Council Chair and Council members. Today, it's my great honor and privilege to stand before you as we gather to celebrate a remarkable individual in our community. As a councilman representing this city, I am proud to present a proclamation to recognize the outstanding achievement of one of our own esteemed residents. We commend Mr. Hussein Berry for his exceptional educational and corporate business achievements in the aviation industry with various roles in airport operations in Detroit, Atlanta, and New York. Mr. Berry, a resident of Dearborn Heights, currently leads in his capacity of Vice President of Airport Operations with Delta Airlines at Wayne County Airport, with 40 additional airport operations located in the United States Central and Southern regions. We congratulate Mr. Berry for serving as the commencement speaker for Eastern Michigan University graduation class of May 2023, as well as receiving an honorary doctorate degree of commercial sciences from EMU. EMU serves over 21,000 students, and this opportunity is one of distinction. This proclamation serves as a testament to the power of dedication, hard work, and the pursuit of excellence. To our esteemed resident, I offer my heartfelt congratulations and gratitude on behalf of the entire City Council and the people we serve. May we continue to support and uplift one another as we strive for greatness together. On this 27th day of June 2023, that is proclamation be spread at the length upon the journal of this day's proceeding of the City of Dearborn Heights Council to endure as a lasting record of the respect and admiration for the outstanding accomplishment made by Hussein Berry.
Good evening. Unfortunately, Aaron Burns, our state representative for the 15th district, could not make it today as they're in the process of dealing with budgets up in Lansing. So I was asked to read this on her behalf. First of all, we have a State of Michigan proclamation, special tribute to Mr. Hussein Berry from our state representative, and she's got a little letter here that she asked me to read for her. Mr. Berry, I want to extend, and this is again from State Representative Aaron Burns, not for myself, although I'd be honored, of course, to present something like that to you. I want to extend my most sincere congratulations on your accomplishments and the positive example you set for everyone in our local community. As Vice President of Airport Operations at Metro Airport, your work sets the tone for how visitors from around the world experience their first moments in the metro area and leaves a lasting impression. Your recent selection to serve as a commencement speaker at Eastern Michigan University undoubtedly serves as a tremendous source of pride for you and your loved ones, and for broader Dearborn Heights community. I am sorry I could not attend this evening's City Council meeting as I am in Lansing voting on the state budget, though I hope to see you and congratulate you in person soon. Aaron Burns, State Representative, Michigan, 15th House District.
Can we get a speech?
Yeah.
Can I read yours? No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you. this is a true honor. Thank you, Councilman Ahmed, Councilman Chair Dave, and to our state reps. It's very special, and it's special because maybe you guys don't know this. I was born and raised in Dearborn, and while I'll always have a special place in my heart for Dearborn, early in my career, when I finally raised enough money to buy my first house was here in Dearborn Heights. And now on my third house, and hopefully my last retirement home I just moved into in December, makes us all that more special. And when you think back to have lived here for about 21 years, the city has really changed a lot in 21 years. It's unrecognizable to me in community and development and progress overall. And so when you think back to where you want to live, where you want to raise a family, and you really want to think about what makes a city what it is today, is it the community? Is it our elected officials, policy, local government? I think you have to take a balanced approach to how you think about that. And it takes a village, as they say, to build the city to where it is today. And look, when you're 21 years from now, 30 years or 40 years, and look back on this day, we know it's going to be bumpy. It's never easy. But as long as the net change is a positive one, and when we look at it, we want to look at it from a point of you don't want to spend time justifying your decisions and the moves that you make. You want to spend time reflecting and learning from them. And it's the right recipe, right? And so that's what I see in you guys. This is a long way of saying thank you for this. Thank you for your commitment and sacrifices as well. We really appreciate the hard work that you guys put into this and make this community what it is. And just happy to be a part of it. And thank you for this honor. Appreciate it. Congratulations again. Yeah.
I will tell you guys, if your bags ever go missing, don't say you heard it here off record. I've said, oh, Mr. Barry said he's going to give you a call. And somebody's like, oh, we'll find your bag. And my bag was found.
You put an air tag on it, don't lie.
Really, I swear, I just dropped his name.
Our tags work.
Yeah. Huh. Hear that one?
What's that? We need one more down here, if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or a couple more so we can give you.
Okay.
Just want you to know, Councilman Ahmad was stressing today about this.
Oh, was he?
Oh, big time. He kept calling me, you think it's going to be right? You think it's going to be perfect? I said, I hope so.
You have 3 more, Tom?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Berry. I've had the honor of knowing Mr. Berry since I and himself were young kids, and watched him grow up, join Delta, and to get to the level that he's gotten to from our own city is just it's an honor for us, as I'm sure it's an honor for your family to have had you achieve such great achievements. So congratulations again. Thank you. All right, next up on agenda is our agenda approval.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda of the regular meeting of June 27th, 2023, with the removal of item 9D as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baidoon and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the regular meeting of June 13, 2023 as submitted.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baidoon. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the special meeting of June 20th, 2023.
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
I move that the City of Dearborn Heights Council approve the minutes for the special meeting of June 20th, 2023 as submitted.
Support.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Baidoon. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Council Chair,
Yes, Councilman?
note that Councilwoman Nancy Breyer is here, 611.
Okay, noted. All in favor, first of all, any discussion on item 4B? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comment on agenda items only. So for those ladies and gentlemen that are in the audience that would like to speak, please make sure it's on agenda items. You will have 2 minutes. Please state your name, city, and street. Mr. Owen asked for an extra time,
Yes.
and I authorized it. 3 minutes, please.
Three full minutes?
Yep.
Okay, let me,
1 second.
bear with me, please, sir.
Yep. And I will get to the Zoom right after I finish with the audience.
Look. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Hassan Ayoun. I became a public activist for the city of Dearborn, but now I'm a national public activist. Anyways, today I just wanted to talk about a gentleman that's sitting in this audience. I've been to his place, Elite Sports, Mike Mackey. Just to get the record straight, you guys gave him a thing that during COVID, it's supposed to be for 12 months. Let's get the record straight because gyms were closed for 12 months. He qualifies for 12 months. Let's not rip around the bush. Let's not put our personal agenda on the table. Keep that at home. Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be with the people, not against the people. I'm not understanding what's going on here. You guys approved something, and then you don't want to give it to him. Then you do a closed meeting, and the gentleman over here, Bob, sat there and said, yes, we did a discussion about Mr. Mackey. Why wasn't he aware of it? Should he go to litigation? Guaranteed. If he goes to litigation, attorney fees, 12 months granted. It's terrible. This guy deserves to be treated equally like everybody else, like the golf course people, like everybody else. I'm not going to sit there and let you guys push him all the way to a point of no return. I am tired of it. You guys say he didn't pay the water bill? Yes, he paid the water bill. Okay? During this gentleman, you should pay the $12,500 he paid to issue a check back for 3 months, okay, or 3 months no rent. So I'm asking for 12 plus 3, 15 months, no rent. Starting from next month, Mr. Mackey should be entitled for 15 months, no rent. I'm asking the city council to approve that today, not tomorrow. If it doesn't get approved today, he's walking out of here, we're going to circuit court. And I'm going to make sure he goes to circuit court because I'm tired of it. If Bill Bazzi got the agenda with Mike Mackey, keep the agenda at home. Keep the agenda at home. Okay? I'm just telling you this. I don't care what you say. Okay? Mr. Mackey deserves to be treated like a human being, not like garbage. And I'm sick and tired of it. I went to his place. He showed me all the bills. He showed me everything. I don't understand. I don't understand you, man. I don't understand you. You sit there and tell people that he's not paying the water bill. He paid $12,500. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Jesus Christ.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Owen. Anybody else? Hello?
Hang on 1 minute.
Good evening.
1 second. Let's get our technology.
Okay.
It doesn't start until after you state your name, so state your
Okay.
name, city, street.
Sue Kaminsky, Amboy Street, Dearborn Heights, regarding 9B, which is regarding Mr. Mackey. I've been active in the city since 1976. If I had to pick one resident out of that entire time who is deserving of proclamations, it's Mike Mackey. He does more for this city than 50 people combined. And a little story about Mike. Field of Dreams, which Crestwood owns, is the baseball fields that Mike takes it upon himself to take care of, do all the work at, entail the expense when the school district should, and I'm a former board member, as all of you know. Today, there was an injured deer in the field with a baby fawn. Animal control came out. They had to cut the fence. They were not able to catch the deer or do anything, so the broken leg deer is still there with a brand new baby. They had cut that fence. I called Mr. Mackey. That fence had a new lock on it within a half hour. He's a busy man. That's not his priority. That's not his expense. And if this city does not take the time and care to do what you promised to do already and voted on and take care of Mr. Mackey, we're going to lose him. And if we lose Mike Mackey, this city is going to be in dire need because nobody, no group of people, not all of you combined who I respect, do half of what that man does. And I will have zero respect for any one of you that does not come through with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Hassan Bazzi, Sheehan Street. I'm referring to the item on agenda 9B. It's in regards to elite sport. I ask your honor body that to take this in consideration and to vote it right here. I mean, we've seen some other projects in the city that the city spent a lot of money for these projects. I think it's time that something is being done right. Elite Sports and Mr. Mackey are they spent a lot of money in this place. So I'm asking you please to consider the request here and do the right choice. It's about the time that we start to change things around to the positive stuff. So please take it in consideration and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Stephanie Butler, Dearborn resident. And I also wanted to comment on 9B. I wasn't planning on speaking, but, I really do encourage you guys to vote and do the right thing for Mr. Mackey today. I know that I've been at his place on several occasions or on the phone with this guy, and he lets all these kids come in for free. He will not charge them to come in and do what they need to do. If they're hungry, I've watched them take ice cream, food out of the cooler, give them a drink, let them come in and use the bathroom. I know he's helped out Crestwood District a lot by allowing them to use their facilities where they were being overcharged elsewhere by another member in the community. And so the guy does do a lot of things, and he's only asking for what's fair. So, it would be a shame to lose a person like Mike Mackey for the city of Dearborn Heights. So thank you.
Okay.
Mike Hashem of Dearborn. I'm here for Agenda 9B. A couple weeks ago, I called Mike Mackey at 2 in the morning. The next day, I had an event in my area. I was like, Mike, I need some equipment that I didn't have. I'm in a low-income area that we don't even have recreational areas like Mr. Mike's facility. He told me, come in the morning at 9 a.m., come pick up whatever you need. Let me tell you something. You rarely find these types of people with this type of heart to actually help his own community out. Let's face it, our kids are dying every day. Opioid, pills, drugs, you name it, they're dying. And this facility will be a safe haven for kids that need a little more attention and to get themselves off the streets in the summertime into the facility and somewhere where they could enjoy and learn something and become good at something. So that's why today I'm asking you guys to help out Mr. Mike and Elite Sports, and we need this place in this city. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Zuhair Abdelhaq, Rosemary, Dearborn Heights. I remember when the city council voted to give abatement to Mr. Mackey, Mayor Bazzi seconded the motion. And right now what I see is not something which is really done out of goodness to recover money for the city from somebody who has been paying his bills and above. Mr. Mackey spent around $2 million from his own pocket and took property which the tenant wasn't even paying on it rent. And he's done a beautiful job in that place, keeping our kids safe. Somebody came and we gave him $3.2 million and given us nothing in return for the golf course. What I see is a vendetta by Mr. Bill Bazzi against this person for political reasons. And just to announce, I am recalling this mayor. Thank you.
Violation of Act 78. Got it with me.
And-
Point of
okay,
order.
Nothing,
Point of order.
nothing from the audience, please. Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Come on up. On agenda items only, though. Okay.
My name's Ron Frenzy, live on Fairwood, Dearborn Heights, and I'd like to talk on 9C about this, at the last meeting, they talked about you couldn't find any paint. So I went home, fired up my computer, got into Google, typed in striping paint, and sure enough, out popped Sherwin-Williams. And they have a really, really nice store on Ford Road, right opposite where Kmart used to be. And you can buy these big cans of paint, costs $175 for that. Now, the other expense is you shouldn't really paint it with a brush, you shouldn't use a roller, but you should use a spray gun. So you need like a striping machine. They're kind of expensive. They're like $1,500 to $3,000, but I bet between the DPW here in Dearborn Heights, or maybe Garden City, Redford, or for sure Dearborn, they have one of these. So the city could maybe go there and just borrow it, give them some money, and then we could do the striping.
So we've actually already started. DPW has already went out.
Oh,
And I believe Party in Annapolis was already painted.
oh, great minds think alike.
Great minds.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on agenda items only at this point? Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and go to Zoom. We have Miss Rachel Lapointe, please.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Rachel Lapointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. So two things. First, congratulations to Mr. Barry. How would a resident get put on the agenda for an honor, like the proclamation thing? How does that work? Would be my first question.
So in this particular case, basically it takes either a council member or somebody from administration, possibly a mayor or anybody else pretty much within generally administration going through the mayor or if a council member wants to, and at that point it goes to the city council president or chairperson. The chairperson decides if they're going to add it on the agenda, and then from there they do a proclamation.
So then a resident would speak to anybody that's an elected official, say.
Correct.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then the other thing was about items 9B, 9C, and 9I. The three items didn't have a backup. It said they were gonna be provided once the clerk's office got them. Up to now, I haven't seen an update on the website.
So stop for time for a sec. Actually, I'll address that when you're done with your time. Go ahead.
Well, my hope would just be that either those items would kind of get, hopefully they were just like updates, but if we can't have a backup and it's something that you guys need to vote on, it really needs to happen so that online, so that people that are using Zoom, especially disabled people who maybe have vision problems, wouldn't be able to read it, would be able to access that and see that information before the meeting starts so that they can comment with knowledge about what's going on. So that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. So let me just address those items because I've had a couple people ask me that question. So I made a decision as a council chair to add those on the agenda so that everyone involved is aware that we will be addressing those items. A couple of those were items that were addressed at previous meetings, maybe I think it was 2 weeks ago, the regular council meeting 2 weeks ago. And a couple of items came up in other meetings in the past. So what I wanted is I wanted to make sure that we put them on the agenda so that they are addressed and everybody that is involved with the situation is aware that that item will be discussed. If anybody had any type of backup to bring forward, then that would have been on them. And I could address them one by one, and I could tell you the specifics on them. But when we get to the particular one, if somebody has a question, we could go ahead and address it then. So it depends on who the person that was bringing it forward. I asked for backup. If they provided it, great. If they didn't, then at the very minimal, it will be discussed. And everyone involved in the situation will at least know that this is something that will be addressed during the council meeting. We may or may not vote. We may or may not come to a conclusion. but at least everybody involved knows that this will be discussed. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience or on Zoom? Okay. Seeing, I know, Rachel, you have your hand up, but unfortunately, it's one time. I apologize. Oh, thumbs up. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, next up is our fund transfers and current claims.
Council Chair.
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the current claims and ACH wire transfers 6 through 1 through 6 through 57 as submitted.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Baidoon and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 7A, consideration of bids.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for tree removal, tree trimming, and stump removal to Urban Tree Trimming Services, Inc. as the lowest bidder and authorize the comptroller to return the bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders. In addition, authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the contract documents on behalf of the city. Furthermore, provided the mayor also authorizes any such payment as necessary expense, the city council authorizes warrants to be issued for the payment of these services. By doing so, the city council authorizes any such warrant and payment without prior authorization by the city council of the specific warrant and payment as permitted by and consistent with city charter, section 8.9, as outlined in 7-A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman?
So I had a conversation with Mr. Conrad, and I'm still addressing the 3 to 6 year long tree list that needs to be, the trees need to be trimmed, or, you know, stumps need to be chopped down. I believe he told me with this new contract, that we wouldn't have to wait for DTE to come through, that this contract would actually allow this bidder who is also licensed with DTE to be able to go through the wires and be able to trim this up. So, you know, previously with Dearborn tree trimming, we would have to wait for DTE to come trim it halfway, and then we would send Dearborn Trees to trim the remaining of it. According to Mr. Conrad, and maybe he can speak out on this a little bit, he says that we no longer would have to reach out to DTE because they are licensed or they've been granted to be able to do it alongside DTE. That's my first thing. My second thing is, my question to Mr. Conrad and maybe to the administration, if anyone can answer, will this also speed up the process of this 6-year-long tree trimming / tree removal? And then my final question is, which I'm going to speak about later on, but it's also some of the sycamore trees in the city of Dearborn Heights. Will this also kind of put us in the position to remove a lot of these sycamore trees, which we know we have lovely residents in here who have been struggling for many, many years.
Okay, Director, thank you.
And then just to reiterate, my three questions are, you no longer need DTE under this new contract. Will this speed up the process? And do we have a plan with these sycamore trees in the city of Dearborn Heights?
Robert Conrad, Director of Public Works. Yes, with your first comment or question is, yes, this company is DTE certified. So they have people certified to go in and trim and remove trees that are within the power line. So we're hopeful that this will definitely speed up the process because we won't have to, like you said, make a claim with DTE to have things removed from the power lines before our tree contractor can come in and do that. He'll be certified with DTE to do the whole thing. The other benefit, you know, of this newer company is they're a company of approximately 100 employees.
Awesome.
So, you know,
awesome.
we're hopeful. I mean, again, this is a new contractor. We haven't worked with him, but his references spoke very highly of him. He is also a DTE contractor, but he's not an emergency service contractor. So, you know, therefore, when we have storm damage, he said that shouldn't affect his ability to service us during storms. So
he will service us during storms.
He said he will have the ability to service us during storms because he says, well, he is a DTE contractor. They're not a DTE storm-related contractor. So, you know, I was a little concerned when, you know, when DTE was one of their references and they said they were DTE contractors. I was a little concerned that, you know, when we needed them for a storm, cleanup, such as what we're experiencing this week, that we wouldn't have their services, but he assured me that they would be able to assist us when there is a storm. I guess as far as, advancing in our tree trimming and tree removal stuff, I still have a budget I have to work within. So, I guess it's kind of up to, the gentleman sitting and the lady sitting up there and, the administration as to how much we want to spend on tree removal and tree trimming. These prices are good, so I think the dollars are going to go farther than they did before. But again, I have budget constraints I have to work within, so, that will be my limiting factor.
Okay, Director, I had a question. So I went through the contract. One of the concerns I had, and I hope we could, the company that you are recommending is out of Warren, Michigan. And in terms of logistics, is that going to be problematic being further out, especially during emergencies? Is this something that they handled this far out? Because I know one of the other companies was in Garden City, but their prices were quite a bit higher. Obviously, it would have been more ideal, and the most ideal would have been a Dearborn Heights, obviously, company, but none bid on it. So is that a concern for you at all?
That's just their administrative offices out of Warren. They're actually out of Detroit. So
Okay, that answers
yeah, I
that
don't
then.
think they're 30 minutes away from their location in Detroit, but their administrative offices, yes, are in Warren.
Okay, yeah, if their main office, if their main, I guess you want to call it, uses, whatever, is here, that's fine, that's perfect. Okay, that's all I have. Any other council members with questions?
And then the last one was the sycamore tree. Do we have?
I'm working with the mayor on, creating a plan for the sycamore trees.
Okay, I just want you to know that I visited a resident who's in here while I was knocking doors, and I said, funny thing is, 6 years prior to that, I met her mother at the doors, and it was the same song and dance. It's the same sycamore tree. And guys, I want you to go, I know she said Roger went out there, and I want you guys to know, as an animal lover, and if do you have an animal? Do you got a dog, a cat, anything?
Not anymore.
Are you an animal lover?
I am.
I want you to know, if you're an animal lover, you wouldn't want those trees in our city. I promise you wouldn't. And just showing me photos of what her dog has to go through and have to pluck them out of their paws. We need to do something about it.
I don't disagree.
And I know it's not on you. I'm
don't
kind of
disagree
venting
with
a
you.
little bit. I'm just kind of venting, and I'm
Yeah.
going to vent more about it later on. But I want you to know where I stand on that. The tree issue has been horrendous in Dearborn Heights. It's gotten better, but we need to do better. We can't keep saying we have a budget, and what we were always told by our comptroller is that we can do a budget amendment. And so this is a fluid contract, and if that's the case, then we need to maybe amend the budget so we can put more funds, maybe even some of ARPA funds, to take down some of these trees, whatever it takes, because safety is very important. I saw some photos online. Residents were sending me, tree limbs falling on people's cars. They were properly trimmed, and I'm not saying it's your fault. DPW crew does a great job. And I know we don't have the manpower. Hopefully this team will come out and, service us a little better.
Okay. Well, I think the administration, I got to give them kudos. They're going in the right direction, obviously, by bringing these types of companies and having us select one of them. This will give them a lot more freedom to be able to, as they do in this case, subcontract it out, and hopefully more of the trees need to be done. I can tell you, similar to Councilman Baidoon, I was walking my granddaughter, we're at somebody's house for dinner, and just walking my granddaughter, and I had two different people stop me, I think near your house, showing me the sycamore trees and the potential damage that they can cause to people's pets. And the lady there had a dog, and I seen, like Councilman Baidoon's mentioning, I seen what they're referencing.
No, I swear to you.
Yeah, it's bad.
No, so think.
But to be fair, this administration or this director didn't put those in. They've been there, 30, 40 years. But all the councilmen and myself are asking is just keep it on your radar. We gotta take these down as we can, and then replace them with better trees.
Councilman,
Go ahead, Councilman.
Piggybacking on all of that, and Councilman both Mo Baidoon and yourself, I think it's required that we go back and we look at this tree ordinance closely. I know we can change a lot of this verbiage in it. This tree ordinance was done some 10, 12 years ago, the way it's written today, with a few tweaks. But nobody ever took in consideration how bad some of these trees are. And some of these trees, I know even on my street or right around the block, the roots are so bad, they're actually breaking the curbs on the street. You know, a tree is a very powerful living thing that can destroy a lot of property. It's not so much the sidewalks, it's actually destroying the roads now because they got no place else to go. So, we need to look at that tree ordinance and see what we can come up to help the residents, avoid such large bills and continuing, replacing driveways and sidewalks continuously. It's getting, some people just can't afford it.
Okay.
I would add, Councilman, that we went out there to look especially at that tree and about the sidewalk and the damage it's doing. We are looking at the ordinance now. We even looked at behind the properties where the tree branches are overlooking the wires. So we're gonna have to initiate some contact with DTE. I think the legal department, because they send their people out now, but they don't touch it. And that's just a fire or a problem waiting to happen. So we are looking at the ordinance. We will obviously work with Buildings Department and DPW to do that.
And thank
We've
you for that,
started it all.
but I think this body needs to be involved with that ordinance.
Exactly. We will present it to you, the $385 that we charge to replace the tree. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay, we're good.
Council Chair?
Thank
And
you,
the permit
Councilman.
that we asked.
Mr. Musket is
I'm
done.
done. Go ahead.
Is the sycamore still on the prohibited list? So if someone takes down a tree, they plant a replacement tree, it's not going to be a sycamore, correct?
That is correct, that we do not allow sycamores to be planted.
Because they're a big tree. I mean, it's in the Bible, that's what they say. Christ was nailed to a sycamore tree. And they're hardy trees, and they
Very strong.
get around the pipes, and then someone will have to have their pipe to the sewers redone. And to our comments on the tree ordinance, former councilman who was an urban planner was on the council, and he was very concerned some of the lots off of Outer Drive in the north end were being developed and trees were being cut down. These houses are close to each other, and the homeowner doesn't want to be caught in a dilemma where they've got, you know, a tree that's on what sparse property they have, destroying their plumbing and so forth. So we will have to relook at the ordinance and possibly allow the homeowner to do more.
Okay. And I'd also like to remind some of our residents, an ordinance that was put together earlier this year, allowing residents to be able to take down a tree that they have in their easement if they so choose. In the past, the previous ordinance was, you know, the tree had to have been, you know, somebody from the city DPW would come and check it out, and it'd have to be an unhealthy or sick tree before you could take it down. Now you can take down that tree, replace it with a smaller tree, whatever tree you prefer that is within the ordinance,
Actually,
obviously.
we'll pay for the tree replacement out of the tree fund.
Correct. So it is a good ordinance for those that have larger trees and they want to take them out. Unfortunately, you have to take it out at your expense. If it's a healthy tree, if it's an unhealthy tree, then the city will take it down. Okay, let's go ahead and take this to a
Council
vote.
Chair,
On.
I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you. Director, I noticed on the bids that there was, you know, I think there was 2 tree removal and stump removal. I know some of them were cheaper. Is it common practice or uncommon practice to take one price for tree removal and give it to one company and stump removal to another company if it's cheaper?
Yes, that wouldn't be a good practice.
No?
No.
Even if it's cheaper to do it that way?
Yes.
Have you ever asked the contractor to just do the tree removal and have a company come in and do the stumps?
I mean, when I look at the bid, the differences are very minimal. And I don't think that would be a benefit to us. I mean, it'd actually be a deterrent to have that, you know, contractor. And, you know, I'm not so sure when you start splitting stuff up like that, if you're going to get good responses out of either one of your contractors.
Okay, well, you know your experience. I was just curious because I noticed the one was cheaper on stump removal.
I mean, I've never seen that done anywhere, you know, for tree contracts. I mean, or actually any kind of contract where they would piece up the bid and give it to, you know, this piece to that and this piece to another.
One of the reasons I'm asking is because typically, and everyone knows, when we get a tree cut down, it's cut down too close to the ground, and it sits there for months and months and months until that company has time to come out and do the stump removal. As I say, if there's a separate company, they can come in right after. That's all they do is stump removal.
That's actually a great idea.
Actually, I mean, with Dearborn tree that we had before, the stumps were removed fairly quickly on the trees that we had them remove. The the difficulty we had with stumps with Dearborn tree is the ones that we took down, and they did the stump removal for us. You know, those are the stumps that took a while to get to and that they fell behind on and things like that. So, I mean, you know,
Well, you know better than I do. I was just curious about that. If it had happened
I
before.
think with the size of this company, I'm hopeful that, you know, we're going to have, you know, good work. I mean, the stump contract that we did last year to get caught up on things, you know, because Dearborn wasn't taking care of business for us. They did a great job catching up, getting us caught up. I mean, right now, we're caught up. I mean, we actually, you know, wait till we get, you know, a good week's worth of, you know, work for, you know, 10, 20 stumps to do, you know, so we're not, when we take trees down, we're not giving him a stump every time we take one down. We wait till we have a list of, you know, 5, 10, 20 stumps, and then we give it to him. So it's worth his while to come into our community and stump because, you know, they can do, you know, a half a dozen a day.
Okay. Council Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. Definitely, we have a tree problem in the city, but I think we're heading in the right direction. So I thank you, Director, for taking the initiative and getting those bids. My question was just for the price for the trimming. Like, how far do they go with the trimming? I know it's a set price, so is it?
They're just going to trim up the canopy going down the street. You know, it's.
It doesn't
yeah, I mean,
matter,
when
like-
it's just a cleanup, you know, so that, you know, trucks and things like that, the garbage trucks, delivery trucks, things like that aren't getting, you know, anything, you know, I would think if, you know, we have some, you know, trimming that's going over houses, that might have to refer back to, you know, our DPW to get that kind of stuff. I mean, typically when you have a tree company trim a street, you know, you'll give them the whole block and they'll just come in and they'll, you know, trim that canopy out. So, you know.
So it's basically whatever it's over the street, not over the.
Right, yeah, I mean,
the residence,
typically,
right.
I mean, you know, we can speak with them. I mean, you know, they may want to charge us more than what they bid for that, but I mean, typically a tree trimming is cleaning the canopy up going down the street.
Because I also had a lot of complaints about people, like branches falling on their yard, like front yard, so, and it's a city tree.
The trees do that. I mean, they shed leaves, they shed branches. Every tree has a seed.
I mean, some trees, like,
I
if you're gonna
mean,
clean up
you
every
know,
single
some of
day.
them are, you know, little helicopters. Some of them are cotton balls that fly around. Some of them are really nasty, like the sycamore that have that picky little ball-like seed. I mean,
Those are sycamore trees.
yeah, that have that picky ball thing. I mean,
Those are sycamore trees.
I mean, every tree has a seed. You know, it just be careful what you plant.
All right, we have to take this to a vote. So any other urgent comments from council members? All right, hearing none. Motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baidoon. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 7B, Parks and Recreation Director Lawrence L.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for the demolition of the playscape at Van Houten Park to Thomas E. Cement Company as the lowest bidder and authorize the comptroller to return the bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payment in the amount of $17,500 out of the account 691-981 as outlined in 7B.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Baidoon. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman?
Just for the people to know, I mean, when I first saw $17,500, I was kind of stunned for taking down a little playscape, but it's just more than that. They've got to go in there and take out the cement foundations, which are deep. It's a lot of digging, a lot of excavation. So there's a lot more to this than just taking down a playscape.
Okay, so when I looked at it, it's the first thing I thought too, and I do know that we can only rely on who's actually bid on the project through BidNet. The only thing is, like we talked about the last council meeting, I would like to see us advertise more on social media, like we talked 2 weeks ago, newspapers, wherever we can. And again, social media is almost at no cost. The only advantage we would have there is to have more local companies bidding on our projects, which I'd be all for. And number two, get additional companies looking at this, because although I'm not an expert on taking down this type of a playscape, but I could see some possibly and I'm not faulting administration, just to make it clear, but I could see possibly some local contractors that could have done that possibly for a cheaper price, but unfortunately, it is what it is. This is the bids that we have in front of us. Any other comments from council members?
Council Chair?
Councilman?
I know our Kiwanis Club years ago put up that, or helped put up that playscape. The design is, it looks like logs, but it's not slivers. I know there's a problem, and I see Mr. Blackburn here with a lot of weeds growing because there were chips down over the time the weeds came up. But we discussed this, I think, last year, and it was thought that the playscape was pretty sound. And any idea what's gonna go in there? In place of the playscape?
It's actually going to be another playscape. The one that we do have now has quite a lot of stuff wrong with it. It actually is not safe anymore. It's not deemed to be safe anymore. We've had a playground company come in and look at that. I have documents from that review when Ken Greibel had it done as well. The bid that you were talking about, actually, if you looked at the sheet, that was actually the best bid that we got. And also, that gentleman is a local guy. He just lives around the corner.
Okay, good.
So that was a
Chair.
plus.
Council Chair.
What's unsafe about it?
The wood chips off, and it's got a lot of pieces that are broken that we've had to remove because we can't put them back up. There's no way to secure them, and there's a lot of parts in it that, could cause injury and stuff like that. If you'd like, I can forward you the report, and I'll
Council
give
Chair.
it to
I
you
think
in
I've seen the
detail.
report. I'm there all the time, and it's not a big structure.
You're at Silver Lane all the time?
It's down
I
the
don't
street
think
from
so.
my office, so it's down the street from my office. I walk
Council
there, walk
Chair.
to that park all the time. I don't.
Are you
appreciate the
swinging
comment.
from the jungle gym and all of that
In
kind of
any
stuff?
event,
I'm just
so
saying.
A plastic, no, and the kids play on it and have a lot of fun. Is a plastic structure gonna go in the place?
I can send you the report.
No, is a plastic structure gonna go in its place?
No, it's going to be a metal with some plastic parts.
Thank you.
Council Chair.
We started meeting on the playground structure that we're going to be putting in today. Today was our first meeting. We're working with Wade Trim. It's going to be an exceptional play structure with all kinds of updates with the park, which is much needed because that is not a neighborhood park. That's a community park. People drive there to use it. We need to do the parking lot. We need to fix and update the splash pad. We're going to work on the ball field there, and it just has been let go for a long, long time.
Director, thank you so much. Council Chair.
Councilman?
Just a couple of things, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I believe I've had this asked to me several times. Can we make sure that the park is actually going to be autistic friendly so that there's going to be an actual swing for the autistic children? I know the splash pad that I saw it on the website the other day that the splash pad is down. I believe last summer we paid to have the splash pad up to get back up and running. What's the concern with it this year? 'Cause we spent-
The concern of having it open is we weren't really clear when the construction was going to start, and it is going to start soon. So we've kept what we could open, but to open it and have everybody use it, then try to shut it down would be too difficult. So, and it's not in the best condition. There are leaks underneath the pad that's
thought we fixed
causing
that
cracks
last
in the pad.
I thought we fixed that last year.
You can only fix it so much, just the surface was fixed. We didn't dig it out and fix the pipes, which
So will
need
there
to be
still be an
done.
official splash pad for the children?
Oh, yeah, we're just going to fix that too.
And then can you keep us updated with how the new swing sets and everything is going to seem like?
Yes.
I said that when
I'm
this came
hoping
up-
to have some type of picture of it and put a sign up so everybody can see what's coming.
And
So,
you
but
said
we're in
it'll
the-
be,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
it'll be okay for kids that have, kids with wheelchairs.
Yes, it does have to be because most of the money we're using is block grant money. It does have to be handicap accessible and ADA.
Well, I mean, even,
So-
not just ADA compliance, but what I mean is that, I've seen, like, I was just in Birmingham the other
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and there was a swing that where you would actually put a child who was on a wheelchair, and you would actually roll it back and forth.
Okay.
It was amazing, and I'd love to see something like that for
Yeah,
our
if
city.
you could send me the address of that park, I would go look at it.
I will send you an email with it.
says I've not seen that before.
Okay, I'll
Must
send
be
you something.
relatively new.
So let's go ahead and put this to a vote.
Where?
Item 7B, motion made by Councilman Muscat, and the second was by who? Moby Dun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. I'm going to go a little bit off track a little bit. Just wanted to recognize some of the Crestwood High School board members here, so I commend you and thank you for participating in our city. And I'd also like to take this time just to honor our police officers. We have Sergeant Zren here with us, so thank you.
Our very own fire department is here.
And then we had there she is, also from our fire department there, so thank you. They're hiding behind my son there. All right.
Let's recognize your son.
You know what?
He's a Lions fan.
All right, item 8A.
Council Chair.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council grant permission to Annapolis High School to hold their annual homecoming parade on Friday, October 6th, 2023 at 5 p.m. with staging to begin at 4:15 p.m. as outlined in 8A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baidoon and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? All right, wish you a great homecoming, of course. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 8B, Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association, Technical, Professional, and Office Workers Association.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council extend an agreement between the city and the Dearborn Heights Public Employees Association, Technical Professional, and Office Workers Association of Michigan on day-to-day basis until a new agreement is reached and approved as outlined in 8B.
Support. Motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is, I guess for myself, extension of the moratorium on used car lots.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council extend the moratorium on used car lots in the city for an additional period of 180 days as outlined in 9A.
Support.
Motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Baidoon. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor,
Council
please
Chair?
state aye. Aye.
Hold on, Council Chair.
You have a comment, Councilman?
Yes, I did.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This might have been one of the items that the people weren't 100% aware of what was taking place on this particular item. Can you give a brief?
So in briefing, at one point a while back, we've extended this moratorium multiple times, I think 2 or 3 times if I'm not mistaken. Off the top of my head, don't quote me on the date, but I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even 4. Maybe 4 years ago. As a council body, we decided that there was just too many used car lots opening up, most specifically on Van Born. And we felt, as a body, we didn't want that particular street to become a used car lot street only. We wanted different businesses opening up. At that time, with the economy and everything else, there was some struggles with people opening up businesses, so a lot of used car lots came in there. Nothing against the used car lots. I wish them all the best, and we're fine with having them in our city. But what we wanted is some sort of a limitation, so we put some criteria in our ordinance as far as the number of feet away from each other, how they got to maintain their properties, et cetera, et cetera. That's what that was. And what we've done here is we're just extending the moratorium for an additional 180 days.
Does the moratorium include the number of used car lots or just the specifics about the used car lots?
I believe, Mayor might remember too. Mayor, do you remember, was there a number? I'm trying to remember, honestly, I don't remember 100%. Was there a limit on the number of used car lots? Do you remember? There was no limit? Right.
New ones.
In the future. And look, in general, Councilman, not to say which way you'll vote on this, that's up to you, but I think in general it's worked. You know, there's additional new businesses coming into the Van Born corridor, which was our main focus at the time. And then there's also a lot of things that's being worked on between administration and Dearborn Heights and Taylor, and that's going in a direction where there's going to be a lot of improvements coming in on Van Born. So it's going in the right direction. And it's keeping a lot of the current used car lots keeping up their properties. I mean, one that comes to mind right now is, Weiss Auto with Wissam Isa on Telegraph. I mean, place looks great, and many others too. So,
Well, this is going in the right direction. I wish there was a limitation on the actual number of used car lots in the city. But
again, I
so
don't
far,
recall,
This is something we can look into in the future.
Yeah,
but
I don't,
this is-
well, what I can do is, if you don't mind, Madam Clerk, do you mind emailing it to all the council members? And keep in mind, Councilman, this is a fluid document, so at any point, obviously, we could change it if we chose to. But the moratorium was ending, and therefore, we want to just extend it at this point. Madam Clerk, if you don't mind, if you could have
No,
that
not
sent
at
to
all.
all the council members?
And
But
I
I'm 99% sure, Councilman, that there was no limit.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
I agree with you, Council Chair, and I believe it was brought forward because of the Van Born overlay when they started, like you
Correct.
said, between
Correct.
Taylor and Tom Roscoe from Tifa had originally brought it in December of 19.
Okay.
So you
Yeah,
were right
it's
on.
about 4 years ago.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Thank you. All right, so all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is from myself again. This is item 9B, terms of rent abatement for Elite Sports at 2100 Kinlock. Now, I'm going to address this one specifically before we start. At the last council meeting, there was a proposal by Mr. Mackey in regards to abatement. And he asked us to suspend the rules and add it on the council during that meeting to be voted on right there on the spot. I did not allow that, and this is with due respect to Mr. Mackey and Elite Sports, who I consider to be a great organization, but I did not want something like that added without everybody having access to different information, having the ability to look into it, having the ability to make calls, whether to administration, to Mr. Mackey, et cetera. And then I added it on the agenda, providing an opportunity, whether it's administration, or Mr. Mackey for that matter, or the clerks, to bring whatever stuff forward.
Can I bother you for 1 second?
Yes.
Why don't we make the motion, second it, and then we can go into the.
No, I
discussion.
understand, but
we
I'm
can-
clarifying why it's on there
I-
without no backup.
Okay. Good.
That's all. No,
But
it's
we
not a
can do
discussion
that
on it.
Now, and you can.
Absolutely. Okay, with that being the case, go ahead. You wanna make the motion?
Council Chair, I make the motion that Dearborn Heights City Council, there's no really, approve the abatement as, set forth by council, at a meeting, and I really don't have the date, on hand. I believe you have the date on hand here, that we passed.
It was May 2020, April, May 2020, and then June,
Correct.
July, I believe.
Correct.
June 9th.
June 9th. Right, I have the motions here.
So with those motions, with this motion, I would like to open this up, make the motion
Okay.
to approve the abatement as
Sure.
submitted.
So before we go into a discussion on that,
Or
Mr.
we gotta have a
Mackey.
second or something?
Second.
Okay, so motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Before we go ahead, Councilor, if you don't mind, and if you don't mind, Mr. Gaddafi and Mr. Mackey, do you mind, because some in the audience probably don't know what we're even possibly voting on, you mind at least giving an abbreviation, at least from the administration's perspective, where you're at? Because I know you've had many communications with yourself and the corporation council, I'm sorry, with the counselor for Mr. Mackey. At least bring the residents an update as far as what this is concerning. You may want to put the speaker on. I don't think it's on.
I'll do a summary with the motions. The incident arose at the time of the COVID-19 crisis when it started. The first motion that you have is April 30th, 2020, which says motion by Councilman Abdallah, seconded by Councilman Muscat, to concur and abate the 2-month rental installments of $6,050, each owed by Lessee Elite Sports Training LLC for the months April 2020 to May 2020, pursuant to the Canfield Ice Arena Agreement. The language says this is a one-time action and is based on the current pandemic, but a one-time action and is stricken out. The next one says, this one-time action shall not be construed to amend. One-time action is stricken out of that motion. And it says after the parties' obligations under the lease agreement as outlined in 8B, this motion was amended to exclude one-time action, per Mayor Pleco, communication April 6, 2020. That was unanimously adopted. The second motion is dated June 15, 2020. Motion by Councilman Abdallah, seconded by Councilman Bazey to abate the monthly rental installments of $6,750 each. And I'm going to skip down. It says, abating with the month of June 2020 and continuing until this abatement ends pursuant to this motion. This abatement shall end upon the occurrence of the earliest of the following to occur. A, lessee has obtained a full certificate of occupancy for the premises and is able to officially open. B, the city council adopts another motion expressly terminating this abatement, so it's the earlier of the two. During the month that this abatement ends, unless it ends on the very last day of the month, the rent for the month will be prorated, and lessee shall pay to the city the prorated amount of rent due as soon as practicable. This continued abatement is based on the current pandemic and shall not be construed to amend the lease agreement or to otherwise alter the parties' obligations under the lease agreement as outlined in 9G for Corporation Council communication dated June 8th, 2020. We then would switch to the governor's moratorium lift, which says from the article Local News 4, it says gyms and pools can start reopening Wednesday, September 9th, and must follow certain safety measures. Gyms have to require masks at all times, including during exercise, create workout stations, or implement protocols to allow 6 feet of distance between everyone inside.
September 9th, what year?
September 9th, 2020. So council and I have gone back and forth. I think we've come up. I provided the affidavit, which I sent out to council chair for Mr. Mackey, which his council added. We both added some things to it, which provides that an affidavit that he's received no COVID-19 funds, relief grants, or other PPP federal funding during that period of time from April to September 2020. And so it would, obviously would be double billing if you got money for it, but you didn't pay it back to the city. And this is an honest man I have total integrity and respect for. So that's the way I understand it.
So, a couple questions, councilors, just for the clarification for the council members. Do you have the date that the certificate of occupancy was received?
The date, I think it was prior to, in August of 2020. I don't have the exact date here.
2020?
Yes.
Okay, August 2020 is a C of O. Okay, the other thing in the motion that we had, I had made at the time, the other thing that was added in there on item A, because the next one says unless the city adopts another motion expressly terminating it, which we didn't, so that's irrelevant. So
The earliest of the two, right?
I'm sorry?
The earliest.
Yeah, the earliest of the two. So the only really clause that really pertained to this and really made a difference was, upon time that the leasee has obtained a full certificate of occupancy, which we are being told now was in August of 2020, and this thing started in June of 2020. But then the other thing is, and it said, and is able to officially open, which would imply in regards to the COVID, mandate from the governor, where they put an emergency order where places of, like this one, similar to this one, were not allowed to open. And then later on in the motion, it did say this continued abatement is based on the current pandemic, okay, and shall not be construed as an amendment to the lease agreement, which we recognize it's not an amendment, but I'm just saying, it says the words, it is based on the current pandemic, and earlier it says, and is able to officially, which would imply to me, or would be directly connected to the statement from the governor stating that's an emergency order and therefore he cannot officially open. I'd just like to take your take on that. Am I correct in what I'm thinking?
Yeah, you're.
I'm not a lawyer, for full disclosure, but that's the way I'm reading it.
I understood it, obviously I wasn't here at the time, but I understood it to mean that until the governor gave the okay, even if they had to see if they couldn't open up, it would be against the state law.
Okay.
So September 9th was the date that the gyms were
So
officially
with
allowed to
that
open.
being the case, based on myself pulling up the motions and reading them, to me, it would seem, at least based on the rent only, we would allow Mr. Mackey / Elite Sports to not pay for May, June, July, August, and then that's when he got his CFO, and then you said in September 9th, 2020 was when the state said, okay, now you can open up. And previous to that, he already had a certificate of occupancy. Therefore, it would have met all the criteria, and we would have to abate the dates that I just mentioned. Am I not correct?
I think it was April, I thought you said April, May.
Well, there was April, May was in the first motion.
Right, and then
And then
June.
in the second motion was June, I'm trying to read here, my eyes are getting worse and worse. I think it was June, July, June 2020, and continuing. It was June 2020, so we have April, May, June was per the two motions. Then the rest of the second motion said, and continuing until he is able to get a certificate of occupancy, which we know was on August 2020.
And until they can officially open.
And then
even if
the
he had-
rest of it was until they can
And-
officially open, which made it September.
Yeah,
So to
September.
me, that would account for April, May, June, July, August, all the way up to September 9th. Am I not
Yes,
correct?
that is correct.
Okay. Now, but then from the city's end, there's some potential money that's owed by, and I say potential, that's because obviously it's got to be cleared up, owed by Mr. Backey back on some water and other issues. Me personally, I'd like to see those, one second. Me personally, I'd like to see those obviously separated, and we could deal with them one item at a time, because when you take 2, 3 items and put them together, it'll convolute everything, and it's hard to make a decision.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
And
Any
I
other
just added to that, I think that abatement should be April, like you said, to September 9th. I just put it, we just put a condition,
Okay, if you don't mind, nothing from the audience, please.
that the affidavit would be there, and that's protect
And the
everybody.
affidavit has been agreed upon
Yes.
by Mr. Mackey, as I understood it, and I know
Yes.
you and his attorney went back and forth trying to come to an agreement, and
I think we
you are
did.
now in agreement, and I'm gonna now allow Mr. Mackey.
Well,
and-
Council Chair, I just,
Well, let's, before us as council members speak, let's allow both sides, and then we'll go ahead and make
Sure.
some sort of decision. If you
Sure.
don't mind, please, Councilman. Go ahead.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Jihad Kadaf. I'm the attorney for Elite Sports. And thank you, Mr. Farina, for reiterating that onto the record. But I'd like to clarify a couple things just for the record. Mr. Farina is correct in his statements, and you're correct in your reiteration of the motions that were passed by this council. It does state the future of the one of the two events must occur, and it
Speak to the microphone, please.
and the second occurrence didn't happen. You haven't withdrawn this motion or canceled the abatement as a body. So therefore, the first is the controlling document and the controlling language in the document. It further states that he can officially open. Well, we do know that the governor issued an executive order. That is not an opinion of the government. That is an executive order, and all cities, municipalities, counties are bound by executive order. So therefore, he couldn't open. He wasn't able to open, even if he wanted to open. Whether you issued a certificate of occupancy or you didn't issue a certificate of occupancy, he wasn't legally allowed to open, as the city must, and so is he, follow the state's guidelines. Secondly, and I'm sure, I don't know if Mr. Farina is aware or this body's aware, the governor went back and retracted that September ruling and reclosed again back in November. So in November, in November of 2020, after the cases spiked, it is on the exact date, if I can be exact, it's on November 15th or prior, I'm sorry, effective November 18th, the governor issued an order saying that, again, we are going to close the gyms, the pools, the public places where the elite sports will fit under that category. And that took place up until January of 21. We stayed closed. We were in a pandemic. So realistically, he had a short window from August to September while he was allowed to be open, maybe a month, maybe a little more than a month. Then he was shut back down again, not by his choice.
August, I think, after September.
September. So back in November, and for the November, December, and up until January, the governor again shut down all these public places. So again, going back to the language, this body did not withdraw the abatement as a vote and as a body, so we have to revert back to the language. He wasn't open. He couldn't be open. He wasn't allowed to be open. Something else I want to bring to the attention of the council today. The abatement is in the amount of $6,750.
Per month.
Per month.
Correct.
Mr. Mackey's rent every month is $5,083.33 pursuant to the lease executed with the municipality, which leaves a difference of $1,666.67. Assuming that abatement amount is to cover taxes, expenses, things that he can't pay while he's closed and can't be operating. That's why the abatement was chosen at $6,750. If we assume that abatement for the months that I calculated at this point in time, in reviewing the city records given by the treasurer to my office actually today, Mr. Mackey's actually owed a refund, a great refund, not a deficiency. It's the exact opposite. But I spoke to Mr. Mackey today, and as a good citizen and the things that he wants to do for the city, he's willing to forego that refund that's actually owed to him.
Can you give us that number?
The total amount due to Mr. Mackey would be $13,333.36 if the abatement were to be given verbatim as this council approved.
13,000 what?
$333.36. This is based on the treasurer's accounting, based on the information I just placed on the record for this council, and based on remedial math. Given that, he's willing to forego that in exchange for the council to approve this abatement. I personally wouldn't have done it. But these are expenses that he bared. He couldn't open. He was there paying electric, DTE, taxes to the city, right? Personal property tax, city tax, water, utilities, plowing. You're not going to let him leave snow on the lot. You're not going to let him let the grass grow 6 feet high. You're not going to allow that. You want him to continue to maintain what he's supposed to maintain, even though the governor said he couldn't open. So for those reasons, and the reasons that I just placed on the record, and also for the reasons that Mr. Farina kindly reiterated, I asked this body to approve that in the way that I've mentioned.
Council Chair?
Okay.
Council Chair.
Yes, absolutely. But I just want to ask a question to our counselor. Okay, you know what, actually, let me go ahead and go with the first. Councilman Bidou.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But just a question to our counselor. Now, let me go on the record in stating that I think Elite Sport is a great organization for our city, and Mr. Mackey is a great person. So, thank you. So I'm all, it's okay, guys. So I'm all for what Elite Sports brings to our city. Great organization. But at the same time, I do have to do my job as a council chair and ask the right questions. So the question I have now to our corporation counselor, it said until it officially opens. The question I have for you, per the legalese, now I'm asking you a legal question. If there's an emergency order, I recognize and realize that Mr. Mackey or Elite Sports in this case cannot open. But does that allow them to not pay the rent anymore? And the reason I'm asking that, I'm using an analogy here. I don't have the right, to not pay for a business payment. A renter doesn't have a right to not pay me rent on a house, and so on and so on and so on. And we have to have this discussion. Does that officially, per the emergency orders, state that somebody does not make a payment to a city entity, like in this case?
The way I looked at the motion, and the word is able to officially open. There was no ability prior to September 9th to officially open. After September 9th, the ability existed to open. And I think when a court, and council knows, court speaks through its orders. We speak through our motion. If we needed to change it or amend it, I wasn't the corporate counsel at the time, we could have revisited, and should have revisited if that's the case, to cooperate with Mr. Mackey. I don't see anything else that said that or changes this. This is all I have.
Okay,
And I have, for the citizens, I have to follow, and it sounds like Mr. Mackey's for the citizens. And I just want us to work together.
Sure.
And I would reiterate, the communication with his attorneys, previous attorneys, has never been hostile. Been very cooperative and very moving forward.
Absolutely.
And I've even sat with Mr. Mackey personally, one-on-one, and went over, and I asked him to, I was amazed, first time I had met him, about what Elite Sports does. And I've worked with youngsters, and I know the talent that he exhibits and the foresight. So, but I work through what the motion says, I go by what the wording says, and I would look at able to officially open. It doesn't say can or has provided documentation to open, it just says ability.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bidou.
Council Chair, I think everybody here is on the same, at least for what it seems like, everybody here is on the same page. I don't know where this spun out and how this came about and why we're even seeing this in front of the council, why Mr. Mackey is dealing with this. I don't know how many other, I know we gave a few abatements, I believe, from what I was told, to other, leasees in our community. Did they also receive, been asked to give back money or, hey, you owe a bill or anything? Or is Elite Sports the only one that we've done this to?
If you're asking me, I'm As far as I'm familiar, I don't know of anyone else getting an abatement. There may be, but I have not been informed of any.
I'm not aware of any off the top of my head.
Officially, I've not.
Who did? Oh, Oneida. Correct.
So I'm not sure the arrangement, how long it's for or anything like that. 2 months, okay.
Council Chair, I don't believe we voted on Oneida abatement. Oneida keeps stating that Mayor Paletko gave him an abatement. You're correct. Okay, so pardon me? But I don't think we voted on that, unless there's a motion. But hang on a second. Now, I was on council when this abatement was done, okay? And to be honest with you, I probably am wrong on this, but I never saw all these statements that are being read here, of whereas and where thou and all of this legal stuff. I know that Mr. Mackey came before city council and asked for an abatement for the times that he was actually had to be shut down, okay? Because obviously there was no income coming in, and council at that time approved that abatement, okay? So I really don't know, again, like with Councilman Mo Beydoun, what are we doing? Again, I don't believe, and someone's gonna have to show me the motion and the approval of an abatement to Oneida.
Okay, got it. Oh, not to Oneida.
I don't think we did that for the record.
Okay, now Councilman Bidun was not done, so I'm allowing him to
Oh, I'm
finish.
sorry.
It's okay. No,
And I'm sorry.
No, you're okay, and I think this just goes back to, I think Mr. Mackey has provided a lot to our city. I know he's worked with our director, Mrs. Lauren Sell, several times, has donated, I believe, the Fireflies or the helicopter. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it was once, I read $15,000, she told us one time. I mean, I don't think the man is asking for an abatement because he needs it, but I think he's asking for the abatement because it's his given right. But the moral of the story is, I wasn't on here when you guys did this motion, but to me, I think this is even embarrassing to our community for even bringing this up.
Okay.
Council Chair, and I think we just need to make a vote on this and, I think put this to bed.
Sure. I'd like to make a clarification just in case. And I want to make it to the audience / to the residents that this is not about money from Mr. Mackey's side.
Exactly.
Because I'd like to, I was able to get a list of organizations that Elite Sports gives to for free for families. I've even, so we have, this is organizations that he gives to for free. Dearborn Heights Parks and Recreation Department, Fire and Police Department softball events, senior citizens north and south side of the city, Islamic Center, Ford Road in Dearborn Heights, Dearborn Heights Raiders football and cheerleading, Crestwood High School girls, boys soccer, boys football, boys baseball, girls softball, school testing, please see attached, Dearborn Heights Police Wellness Workshop, Special Needs Camp, ages 3 through 12, Fortson High School men's football team, go Fortson, Dearborn High men's football team. So the point I'm making here is, I'm sorry, yeah, no, I recognize that. The point I'm making here, nothing from the audience, please. The point I'm making here is, I don't believe this is about money specifically. I think he's just looking for his right. Yes, thank you. Okay, Councilman, it's okay, Councilman Wenzel. Nothing from the audience, please. Councilman Wenzel.
Thank you, Council Chair. Despite all the great things Mr. Mackey has done, and there's probably 10 times more than what you just mentioned, he's a great man, he does good things for the community. When I voted on this abatement, besides all the legal mumbo jumbo, is my understanding that we were voting on abatement until he could open and consistently stay open. And that's from my understanding, it's from, April to January. And that's the understanding I had when I voted on it. It wasn't, can you open up for a month here and then close down? It was until he can open up and stay open in business.
Okay, the only thing to keep, and I respect that, Councilman, but the only thing to keep in mind for all council members is all of us, as a body, as a country, as a world, nobody knew how long this thing was gonna go on for and whether it was gonna come back and go away. So there was a lot of things a lot of information that only God knew at the time. So, okay, no, sir, please, nothing from the audience. Thank you. Councilman Muscat.
Just to reiterate what I said before, I'm not taking sides on anything that's political here whatsoever. I do remember the abatement, and this council voted 7-0, a unanimous vote. So the council must adhere to that, or our accountability is zero to the residents, okay?
Okay.
It goes to zero. And I just wish everybody would get together, put anything that's hurting one another. Sir,
Okay, nothing
please.
from the audience, please.
You've been asked 3 or 4 times to not say anything. I'd appreciate you not saying anything, and I thank you very kindly. Thank you. It's, put everything aside, and let's become a great city again. This is where we started 4 years ago. Let's get together again and make it strong again.
Okay.
Please.
So let's go ahead and get a clarification on this motion before we go ahead and vote on it. Unless, Corporation, do you have any other?
I just want to clarify what we're asking for from Elite Sports, that's all. Just so the council is concise and clear on what we're asking for.
Okay.
Again, as I heard some of you already mention, the shutdown happened, we were closed in April. We effectively opened for a small window of time and then closed down again. I will enter into the record, if they would allow me to do so, the Governor Whitmer's administrative order, which I can provide to the council, or if you would like to place it on a permanent record, that's completely up to council.
You have to go through the clerk.
Yeah. And so given that, we have April, yes, there was a month there where he was able to open, but then shut down. None of us here knew COVID was coming. Nobody here knew that we were going to have this pandemic. And I'm sure the council, as Councilman Wenzel stated, that they did this with the intention of the unknown. And the unknown did happen. It did. And to touch on Chairperson Abdullah's comments, if we were to give Elite Sports a 10-month abatement, which would include the amount of the arrearage that the city is stating that he is, and give him the difference, the remaining difference in an abatement, you just mentioned all these things that he does that are great. You heard from the audience, you heard from the residents. Could the city go out and spend that money and do what he did?
No.
Could they do it? They probably can't, but you have someone willing to do it. So give them the abatement, give them the 10 months abatement, take the amount that's currently owing, strike it against, and apply the difference.
Okay. So I want to get a clarification here. So obviously there's a lot of moving parts. So let's start. I'm doing this like I do in my. Let's get
I can
to the
make it as
stuff we all
simple
agree
as
on.
you want.
So let's start with this. Let's start with this. Corporation Council. The amount of $6,700. I know that's not the rent. Are you in agreement as to the amount of $6,700 per month? Let's talk about the per month thing.
I'm in agreement with what the motion says and what you voted
The
on. and approved, which is
$6,750 per month.
$6,700.
Okay, so $6,750 per month is agreed upon, so we got that checked off. Next thing, are we in agreement as an administration, as a corporation, council body, as to the dates from May 1st up to September 9th, which is by that point, the governor had lifted the emergency order, and at that point, he already, Elite Sports had already had their certificate of occupancy. Are we in agreement on those dates from May till September 9th?
No.
I think you said April, it was April,
It's April.
May.
April, May, then it was June, July.
So
Then he
April
didn't get his
1st?
certificate of occupancy until August. And at that point, there was an emergency order, and an emergency order was lifted, if I'm not mistaken, on September 9th. Is that correct?
But you had your.
No, I recognize that.
You had your regular meeting on April 28th, 2020.
I'm sorry?
When you first approved April and May, you had your meeting April 28th, 2020.
So it was prorated. April would be prorated.
Whatever date it was, April 1st.
Right, it'd be
or April
prorated.
28th, what if it's prorated? And then
Okay,
you
so from
just
the
said
date of the
April,
first
May.
motion until, are we in agreement that from the date of the first motion until September 9th, are we in agreement on
Yes.
those dates, that those should be abated? Okay.
That's up to you to decide.
No,
That's
I
what your
recognize
motion
that, I
says.
recognize that, but you recognize, based on the motion,
I do.
based
I
on what we've
recognize
spoken
that's
of,
what it
okay.
says, yes.
And then you recognize, of course, that on September 9th is when the emergency order was lifted?
Yes.
Okay, and then we had, in August, we had the certificate of occupancy. So on that, we are all, I believe, in agreement in general.
So what's
So
that
the only
total
thing
amount?
left, well, the total amount will be determined, obviously, by administration.
Hold on, Council
Well, here,
Chair.
we can figure it out.
I got a question for you.
It's gotta be prorated, that's why.
Council Chair, this is what I think our motion is going to be. And it's very simple. I think Councilman Muscat, I think yourself, I think anybody in here, it would be delusional to not agree to this. We're going to put together a motion that says this man owes nothing, And that is it.
There you go.
There you go.
We're not going back and
There you
forth.
go. Done.
Okay. Well, you just made me a list of 50 things.
Well,
Well, let me finish. And I think the intention is also, the intention here was also, according to the 3 council members, I don't know about Councilman Mr. Constant, but the 4 council members that were on here, including the mayor who voted on it, everybody's intention was, hey, look, we're not going to charge somebody who's in our city, who's paying rent, that can't afford it because they're shut down. Well, we all just agreed here that nobody knows what was going on during COVID. Nobody knew that when they were cut open, they were open on September 9th. They closed back potentially, we're going to call it September 21st. That small 2-3 week window. They went back into, the state went back into no gyms, pools, everything was, I remember this.
November.
So to me, I think the ultimate, hang on, please, nothing from the audience.
Nothing from the audience.
I think ultimately all that needs to happen here is, whatever the beef is, it needs to stop. And I think all it really needs to stop, guys, just let me finish, please. All needs to be happen is, this man owes no money, make the motion, second it, and move on.
Okay, but based on that, then we'd be talking through January.
Well, I mean, the state was closed.
Okay, well, no, there was an opening in between. Go ahead, Mr. Mackey.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank everyone that got up and spoke on my behalf. I really appreciate it. The beautiful thing is I didn't ask one person to come here today or speak on my behalf. So I appreciate you very much, and I thank you. I was open in September for a short time. There's another order that we just handed to the clerk that closed me down from approximately November 18th through January 1st. My rent abatement should be for 8 months at the price of $67.50 a month, which comes to $54,000 minus the city's claim of $30,493.73. I should receive a check or a credit back from the city of roughly $24,000 and some change towards my rent, okay? That's the real rent abatement. This is what we agreed to when we did it, and we all know the abatement was because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, I've incurred over $10,000 in attorney fees over something that could have been handled within a 10-minute conversation. This has put stress on me. My boys work at this facility. It's put stress on them. It's put stress on my whole family. Okay? I don't know why this was done and what's the reason, but this was wrong. And we have to demonstrate in leadership that we can't continue to let this happen to people. We have to stand up and do something about it.
Come on, keep it down.
Please,
How many times
nothing
do you
from the
get
audience.
told?
Mr. Owen, please, nothing from the audience. Thank you.
This is not grade school.
1 second, please. Okay, so Corporation Council, the amount roughly of around 20, those numbers that were just given by Mr. Mackey of 54,000, roughly about 30,000 owed, and then roughly about 24,000 at the end owed to Mr. Mackey. Do you agree with those numbers?
I
Or do
do.
those have to be
I
calculated?
can only look at what your motions say and the time period. You do not go beyond September 9th according to your motion. If you choose to do that, that's up to you and the council. But according to what's here, and I'm not against popular opinion, but I just have to go by what the writings say. The writings say till September 9th. That's the earliest date. That's when the governor lifted it. By admission, they did open. So it follows that second motion. There is no third motion. There is no third debate about that. I'm concerned at how that we put the agreed on the affidavit, that no funds were paid out. And it's up to you, Council
Okay,
Chair.
so just to clarify, and this is where I was going with this earlier, because based on the official motion, it went through the time that Mr. Mackey gets a certificate of occupancy and is officially able to
That's
open.
it.
He was
That's it,
officially able to open, so we do owe through September 9th. That part is clear. The question is, does that motion, and this, I'm asking you a question, does this motion continue on past
No.
September 9th? And the way
No.
I'm looking at it, it does not.
It does not.
Therefore, if we choose, and I want to clarify for the council members, what is clear is up to September 9th. If we choose as a council body to extend it past September 9th, as far as I'm looking at, Madam Clerk, Corporation Councilor, I think a new additional motion would have to be made to abate those times separately.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so with that being the case, What I would like to do, unless our council members disagree with this, let's vote on the first motion that was initially accepted by us as a body. Some of us may have been on the council or not, but up to September 9th, prorated up to September 9th. We'll vote on that first, and then somebody else can make a second motion for the dates, whether it's from September 9th until January, or just the dates that during the emergency order. But I'd like to separate the two so that we're doing them separately. If
Council
that's
Chair,
okay.
let's state that,
So we have
excuse me,
Wait, let him speak first. Go ahead.
till September 9th, that would be 6 months.
Well, we'll
6
prorate
months.
it to the day, from April 28th until September 9th, whatever that comes out to per day.
It'd be April 1st. It'll be April 1st. They put it on the agenda on the 28th, but it was proactive.
Oh, it's
Because I
prorated
think
from
that was our
April 1st?
first
Is
meeting.
that correct?
Yeah, it was
I
Since
just
it
know
I can
closed.
clarify
it just says
directly
what
from
it
the
says,
order.
April and May, that's all.
I can read the order exactly, and it states,
I've got it here. It says April 2020,
correct,
yeah. So that'd be all of April,
correct.
April and May,
Yes.
yeah.
2020.
Okay, because even though we voted on, to clarify for those in the audience, even though it's voted on April 28th, because the motion said April, it'd be all of April. Yes, thank you. Okay, somebody else? So I just want to make sure, council members, are you comfortable with voting on it? Two separate issues.
We have to make
Can I
another motion.
ask a question? to
Yes,
Councilman
absolutely. Go ahead.
Muscat, Or maybe yourself, or maybe, you guys already made this vote.
Exactly.
Does your vote not matter
Exactly.
then?
No,
Exactly.
because the vote said until he's officially able to open.
Yeah, so.
Which was September
No,
9th.
certificate of occupancy,
Or one of the two?
I'm gonna tell you what they are. Certificate of occupancy, officially able to open, okay? And then unless we amend the, what do you call it, which we didn't at that time. So as this motion states, it'd be up to September 9th.
Council Chair,
Because by that point, he's officially able, the key word is able to open.
Council Chair.
Yes.
I understand there's legal argument here, okay? But I'm under the impression that it was abated for the whole time he was closed. I'm sorry, but that's, and I said that, but to clear things up, I think this is a good idea to do this twice here. We can make another motion and do it two different ways so we can, get through this.
And be done.
And be done with it and put it to bed forever.
And,
I'm just gonna stick with my motion the way it is, and it's up to you to second
I
it or
second it.
not.
Yep, I
And we
second
can
it.
vote on it, and then I believe we're gonna have
We'll
to
do a
suspend.
second motion.
We have to suspend the rules.
say the second motion, right. So again, just to clarify, Councilman, you said you were under the understanding, I get that, but just based on the way the motion was written,
I understand,
it was
but
through September 9th, so we have to vote on September 9th at this point. So with the first motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Bedun, you're gonna have to amend your motion only prorated from April 1st through September the 9th.
April
1st through September the 9th, 2020.
Support.
Let's make sure he amends it. Just amend your motion for just those days.
I amend my motion to have a prorated from April 1st through September of 2020.
September 9th,
September 9th
2020.
of 2020.
The rent would be abated at $6,750 per day,
Yeah, that's
prorated.
according to the
Thank
original
you. And
motion.
seconded by Councilman Bedun. Any other further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried.
Council Chair, Council Chair. Council Chair, I move that we suspend the rules to make another motion.
Second.
I make a motion to suspend the rules to make another motion on this subject.
Second.
Okay. Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Bedun. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried.
Now,
Suspending the rules.
they're suspending the rules, folks. Now, I've
You
got all,
can't do this to me, man.
I've got all of these dates all confused and.
Council Chair, can I make this motion here?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Council Chair, I'd like to make a motion that Elite Sports / Mike Mackey owe no money to the city of Dearborn Heights when it comes to rent from,
September 9th.
From September, no, September 9th, he had 2 weeks. I'm sorry, we're gonna go to September 21st.
When was the new emergency date?
The governor closed down 3 weeks later.
So what date was it? Do you
That would
remember?
have been the end of September. So September 30th.
Let's just
if
go
we'd like
to
to take a
November
record.
1st, from November 1st to.
No.
October 1st.
Or I'm sorry, October 1st.
We knew what you meant.
From October 1st to January,
Well, they reopened again in January. There isn't an exact date. The governor issued the order. I think I gave it to Madam
what's the
Clerk.
date in January?
I have it here, actually written down.
I got more notes on this piece of paper. I can't read write my own writing.
I got 13,300, 54,000, 6,500.
24th.
On the 24th, the January 24th.
Correct, January 24th, 2021.
Council Chair.
Okay, but I just want to clarify one thing. When you said what's owed to Mr. Mackey, that was pertaining up to and including if we would have given abatement through January?
Correct.
So even if we gave abatement through January, you would still have money owed to Mr. Mackey?
Correct. But he's willing to waive
Well,
that.
hold on,
That's
hold
what I
on,
want to
Council Chair.
clarify.
I just want to make it clear that Mr. Mackey cannot take any money from the city of Dearborn
No.
Heights, and the cities cannot give any money to Mr. Mackey.
Correct.
So this is a quick wash, and this, Mr. Mackey or his attorney can no longer come back to the city and say, hey, we want to hold you accountable, we're asking you for money, and the city's not going to be able to go back and ask Mr. Mackey for any
So
money.
with the
Matter's
motion,
resolved.
so with the motion, so with the
On the
motion,
rent abatement.
with the motion, Corporation Councilor, I believe we'd have to have something legalese written by
Yeah, we'll
both
put,
parties.
council
So
and I
it'd be
will
subject
be right up to
to
that
attorney
effect.
approval.
Can we just put something on the record?
Yeah, we'll put it on the record, but it had to be subject to Corporation Councilor
And
approval.
we're gonna ask, like we've asked, for the same affidavit that we agreed on.
Right. Okay,
That
go ahead.
just through
Council.
Council Chair.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Council Chair, we are going to I make a motion that the city of Dearborn Heights is not to charge Mr. Mackey or Elite Sports, and Mr. Mackey and Elite Sports are not to charge the city of Dearborn Heights
On the rent abatement.
on the rent abatement.
From October 1st
from
to
October-
January,
From September 9th to January 24th, 2021.
well, September 9th, he opened. back
From
up.
October
We said
1st.
October
I mean, it was
1st.
for 2
We
weeks.
said October 1st. but
Okay,
let's just do it.
October 1st to January
January
20.
Second.
2021.
I second that motion.
Okay, including January or to January 1st?
No, to January 24th. when they opened.
January 24th. Okay, so the motion is to abate the rent for Mr. Mackey from October the 1st, 2020 through January 24th, 2021, subject to final Corporation Council approval of the motion.
And the language is
The abate-
reciprocal.
Right,
not
and the language
both
has to be
ways.
reciprocal. I know, but I just want to make sure they do the right legal documents.
And this
on
is for the record, he's saying.
And nobody
Through
goes
January
back.
24th, 2021, and nothing would be owed to Mr. Mackey, and nothing would be owed by Mr. Mackey.
Council Chair?
Seconded by, yes.
This-
Well, I'm going to take it
Okay, all right.
to 1 second, 1 second. So who's seconding that
I
motion?
did.
Okay, so seconded by Councilman Muscat. And I'm going to go ahead and put it to a discussion. Go ahead, Councilman.
Putting it up to Corporation Council for determining, that's, deleting our vote, because we're voting on.
No. Time out, time out.
He
time
didn't
out.
say that. He
He's
said
just going to draw up the
subject to the
legalese.
verbiage.
Just drawing up the legalese
just
to make
the
sure
verbiage,
everybody
the
signs it.
Binding agreement.
So you're saying you don't trust me to negotiate with that,
No.
Mr. Wenzel? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying we want to vote on, we want what to happen, what we vote
we are
on.
going
So you said negate.
Is this
so
comfortable with you?
I just want to be sure you're clear, sir.
Are you comfortable
If
with
you're
that?
insulting me, sir, I'm asking you to be clear.
No,
Okay? That's what you're saying.
I'm very comfortable with that. Mr. Farina and I have an amazing relationship, and we're going to work out any legal details. So I don't have any issues with the language. And it will not negate the council's vote. And Mr. Farina and I will iron out any remaining legal details that are required to ensure hold harmless on both ends.
Thank you, that's all I needed. I didn't need to be insulted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other council members with any discussion on
As
this?
soon as they're done. the vote.
All right, hearing none, all in favor, please.
I'm sorry.
Somebody say something?
No, I just want to make sure that we're clear in the vote, and that Mr. Mackey currently owes the city a balance of $30,493. The entire abatement that the council is approving or will approve shortly momentarily will go against that balance and leave him a further credit towards future rent.
But you said earlier that that would be also waived off, remember?
Yeah, we're waiving nothing. You're not, Mr. Mackey's not
Nobody's
getting
going
any
to get
money.
anything.
We understand, yes, correct. He will not owe any further money to the city. But given the fact that the city is abating that, that means he will have a credit.
No.
He's not
there's
getting any money.
No credit
No,
either.
that's
There'll be
what
no
I'm saying.
credit.
Then
Everything's
it's a wash.
squashed.
There's no need for the second motion.
Actually, with the first motion, the city roughly owes me $2,500.
Yeah, so there is actually no need for a second motion. He's I made it.
You do need a second motion because of the abatement issue that the rent was still from September 9th.
Correct.
After the moratorium.
January.
There's a second
I'm gonna,
released by the governor.
just out of
Please
fairness,
proceed.
wait,
Just to
out of
cover
fairness,
ourselves.
I'm gonna give, Mr. Mackey's counselor and Mr. Mackey, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. You wanna stand in the back while
There's no need.
discuss?
I
You
don't
good?
want no money from the city.
No,
I
please
just-
proceed.
It's okay. I wouldn't take it even if you guys gave it to me. All right?
There you are. Go ahead.
So I think the
So all
motion,
in agreement, it's a wash?
Yes.
but Council Chair, just for the record, I'd like to have the motion though that says there's no credits coming.
Right.
There's no money giving and there's no money taking.
That's what the motion said, and I second.
And all
Okay,
rents due after January 24th, 2021 will still
Correct.
be due?
Correct.
Okay. So any other discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. All right.
Thank you, council.
Good job to the attorneys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, council.
attorneys did a great job working with one another.
Thank you, Mr. Farina. Thank you, council.
I'll talk to you, Ms. Farina.
Okay, go ahead. Next item on that,
Council Chair, before we do that, I want to let Council Pro Tem Ray Muscat know that there was an abatement for Oneida. It was
you tell-
unanimous, just for April and May.
Just for two,
Or wait a minute, just for 2 months. And it was the same one as that first one was for Elite.
okay, and that was the only two.
That was, I couldn't find anything else.
But, and that was the only, and we voted on that?
And unanimous, you motioned it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
okay.
I know, that's why.
Next item on the agenda, by myself, Chairman Dave Abdallah, crosswalk safety measures. There's no backup to this one, and the only reason I put this particular one on the agenda is I'd like, I'm gonna kind of like go after this issue to make sure this thing gets done. So all I'm asking for is, at this particular point, is from an update from administration as far as where we're at with the crosswalks.
Support.
Okay, motion, who's gonna make the motion?
I don't know what motion.
There's no motion, just to get an update from
I
administration.
move that the city council get an update on the crosswalks from the administration.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Constant. Any update, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Council Chair, when is this update supposed to happen?
Well, doesn't sound right. So all I'm looking for is, the last time we spoke, we had some conversations, they were talking about different paint that can be gone, different paint that can't be gone. There was even some residents that went up and spoke and said, hey, we're willing to get donators for this. I'm gonna keep pushing for this particular item until we get to fruition, hopefully. And, so at this point, DPW Director, can you come up, please? This one, just to clarify, it's not necessarily, any type of new ordinance motion. It's, all I'm trying to do is just get an update, and I'm gonna keep pushing this until we get it. Go ahead.
Robert Conrad, Director of Public Works. So I don't have a list of what has been accomplished. As you know, I was on vacation last week and still trying to catch up on everything. But they did start painting while I was off. They started basically in the south end. I'm not exactly sure on how many schools they got. We are not having a problem purchasing paint right now.
Good.
There seems to be, they don't carry large quantities of the paint at the Sherwin-Williams near us, but we did find that there's 2 commercial locations, one in Lincoln Park and one in Livonia, that if we do want to purchase more than 3 to 5 buckets of the 5-gallon paint, we can go to those places. So, we have been going to the local Sherwin-Williams, which is right across Van Born Road from us, and picking up, 3 5-gallon buckets at a time, and haven't had any issues. But if we do want to pick up more, the commercial sites are available with the supply.
Okay, can you commit to me, Director Conrad, that this thing is a top priority for your department?
It is, and last week, we had perfect weather to paint. This week, with the storm damage and the weather, not a good week to paint. So,
Okay.
Again, painting is weather dependent.
Sure.
So, they made good progress 2 weeks ago, last week. And I don't see any problem. The stripe machine is working well. We, had a couple screens plug up, but, we've got replacement screens and, just typical issues that you get when you're, using a paint machine.
So in order to get this done, you need 3 items. You need paint, which you've said you're able to get the paint.
That's correct.
You need the willpower, like, that's what you want to do. It's on your agenda. You're all over it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the third item is man or lady, human power, obviously, to be able to get the job done. And even if you're short-staffed, and I may speak on behalf of the rest of my council members, I'm all for if we have to do a budget amendment and get you some funds to subcontract this thing out.
I don't think our staffing will be a problem.
Okay.
Right now, it's
So
going to be more
therefore-
weather.
Okay, so therefore, the only thing left to get this thing done that can get in the way is weather. But beyond weather, you see no foreseeable issue whatsoever. And I want to make something clear, I'm not blaming you. I'm just putting it on your radar, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put this thing as a placeholder until we get this thing done. So I'm going to continue to ask for an update on this.
You can have my job if they're not done.
Okay, here we go. I don't know about-
Council
thank
Chair,
you.
I just want you to know, this is for Mr. Conrad, Wednesday 83 and sunny, Thursday 84 and sunny, Friday 87 and sunny. Saturday, Sunday, doesn't look so promising, 50% chance, but it's not gonna be sunny, however, only a 50% chance of rain.
The weatherman's always wrong.
But if you have to subcontract it out, again, I'm willing to amend the budget, we're not gonna need a lot of money for this. We'll get whatever funds that are needed to get this thing done. Please keep it on top of it.
But I also do want to commend him and let him
Yes,
know that
absolutely.
Party and Annapolis was done. Some of the schools that I saw were done. And it wasn't just,
The wheel's moving.
Yeah.
Council Chair?
And thank you for that.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I commend you. Good job.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything,
Okay, you'll have an opportunity to speak later. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Council Chair.
Wait, let Councilman Baydun be finished.
go ahead, no.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you. I was going to say that all District 7 was striped. I'll let them talk later. I'm going to ask you in next meeting or two to look into the difference in the effectiveness of the taping that lasts like years. So you can put on a tape, white tape that you heat up, and just see if it's a cost difference, just so we know, because it was brought up to me before about that. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. I know you have to heat it up and melt it down or something like that, but can you just look into it so we'll have an answer for our residents on that?
Yeah, it's difficult to apply. It can be removed by plows. I think we're doing the most cost-effective and the easiest to maintain with DPW staff. Tape requires, special contracting, special equipment. Yes, it lasts 2 years instead of 1. We have to paint every year. If you tape, you have to tape every 2 to 3 years. So, it's not a cost-effective measure.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Mr. Conrad, I just want to ask, so I know you said all of District 7 is done. Is Westwood next? Is Crestwood next? Are the charter schools next?
Private schools.
Are the private schools next? Regardless, when Council Chair said this last week, he said he wanted every single child that crosses the street in the city of Dearborn Heights to just have a safe spot. That's all. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, driving in the south end the last couple of days, I see the white stripe. I stop before the stop sign. I used to get right near to the stop sign. I am now stopping because the white stripe is showing me to stop before the stop
Officer
sign.
Zren, can you, right here? What's your name, sir?
And my next thing is, and it's not to you, but if Mr. Deeb or our police chief is on, I know that they said they were going to take on the fight, put up more signages. I know Councilman Muscat says not a lot of people, look at signages. Even if it's 1 or 2 people that did notice the sign, that's 1 or 2 people that's, potentially saving lives. So if maybe they can give us an update. I know the police chief said we had this new program that was doing a study, and then Mr. Deeb said that he was going to be working with them. I know he just got back, so maybe they can jump in on that. I know they couldn't talk about it 2 weeks ago.
Council Chair. The chief I know he had to leave a little early sick
Council
today.
Chair.
Okay, wait, Councilman Wenzel, I believe, Councilman Ahmad was.
Yes, thank you, Council Chair. Thank you, Director, for, start working on this. But are we printing school zone next to the
Yes.
stop signs? Or just you're doing lines, that's it?
Just the crosswalk and stop bars.
So we're not saying school zones anywhere?
No.
Okay, are we able to put school zones
I
next to the
don't
schools?
know if that's actually in the code, the uniform traffic control, to stripe the road like that.
Can we look into it? Because
I would think we can
we
have
talked
our,
about having like school zones next to the schools.
Well, that's what I just asked to see the police chief and.
I mean, we do have the school zone signs, but,
At least, I mean, at least next to the stop sign,
So
like
just
on
to
the,
be fair, Councilman, Director, can you
I
look
guess
into that, please?
if our consultant that, reviews our traffic safety issues, would have that recommendation that we stencil the road school zone. I've never seen that as an accepted practice, so, I mean, I guess we could have a stencil made to say school zone.
No, I think that's what he was saying. I think he was
Talking about
talking about signages.
no.
And you could do that, but I mean, I know that, and I don't,
We have, I mean, if there are any missing signs, I mean, we can replace them. We have the school crossing signs.
can we have them put out every single school district?
Yeah, I mean, if, again, that's what this company is supposed to be doing for us, is
doing
reviewing
the study.
all of our school zones and making recommendations as to where, and, where these signs should be placed, the number of signs that should be placed. We have the ability to place them, but again, they have to be placed, according to the Michigan Manual of Uniform Safety and Traffic Control Devices, which is what this company does for us. And, we need their recommendations. They need to review all of our sites, and they need to make those recommendations as to what changes. If something's in the wrong place, then we need to move it and put it in the right place. Again, we don't have that expertise in-house. That's what this company does, and we'll have to await their recommendations.
Mr. Conrad, can you just, if you don't mind, if we can get a follow-up on where that's been? Because I know I think it was Councilman Ahmad that asked about that back in December. And they gave us a follow-up that they were going to look into it. We even discussed speed humps, which we said we were going to get back and get a study whether we could do speed humps or not. So if you don't mind, if you can just, take on that and maybe get with our city engineer, Mr. Deeb, and our police chief to see where we're going with that.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take this to a vote. Last comment, go ahead, Councilman Muscat.
When I said about signage, I didn't mean that we shouldn't do signs. My thing and this is the legislative body, we need to do something legally, and at the Corporation Council, we can get together legislatively and increase these fines, double, triple, quadruple the fines of somebody breaking the damn law in a school zone. I mean, let's face it, you start putting out $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for rolling a stop sign ticket, the next time you're gonna think about it, okay? I've always said you hit the people in the pocketbook and make them aware, stop means stop, not, okay, I'm gonna keep going, okay? You can have 1 million stop signs, if the guy just doesn't wanna stop, they're not gonna stop until you hit them in the pocketbook. Then they will stop, trust me on that. And it's not going to the magistrate and say, I got a clean record. You get the ticket, it goes to the state, it goes on your insurance, and your insurance goes up, so they pay 5 times as much, and they deserve it all, okay? Especially a school zone.
Okay. So, this one, I mean, it's a vote, but again, it's not, all we're trying to get is just an update from administration, and I thank administration from going in direction to get this thing done and completed. So thank you very much. We're voting on this, but it's almost for nothing, but it's okay. All in favor, state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, next item on the agenda is Controller King. Thank you, Director. Budget amendments to the 2022-2023 budget. Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the comptroller to amend the fiscal year 2022-2023 general fund operating budget for decreases to various general fund revenues line items by $651,700 as presented by the comptroller and Plant Moran on their June 20th, 2023 communication to City Council as outlined in 9E.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Yes?
if Ms. Controller can just give us a quick synopsis, just for the residents, as to why we're doing this. Thank you.
Council Chair, I think this motion, I think it's supposed to be fiscal year 2023, 2024.
No,
No?
no, this is 22, 23. This is to close out this year.
Okay.
Our new year starts July 1st. So this is just something that we do every year when we go to our budget and there's things that are either over or under. That's when we start cleaning up, and we have to have council approval to clean it up so that we can close out the year end and start with our new budget as of July 1st, 2023. So did you want more explanation? Okay.
What was the last budget that we just worked on? Was it?
2024.
So this is for this year.
23-24. July 1st, 2023 to June 30th of 2024.
I know, but
was
did you amend the other budget as well? Because I know we had that discussion, we made that vote. I don't know if those changes were made, though.
Council Chair.
This just finalizes this fiscal year.
Yes, that's just for this fiscal year.
That ends in.
So,
That ends in 2 days.
yeah, it ends in a couple weeks.
Or 3
What
days.
money that's come in and
Yep.
are not come in.
Okay.
That hasn't been spent.
Thank you.
So, motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilwoman
the
Breyer.
cancel
All in
the
favor,
process,
please
June?
state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Okay.
But it says here, June 20th, 2023.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're
I know,
cleaning up.
we're discussing 2022, 2023.
Correct.
Plan ran on their June 20, 2023 communication to the city council. We had a discussion on June 20, 2023 regarding, with Plant Moran regarding something completely, about the most recent budget that we voted on. We didn't discuss with Plant Moran on June 20, 2023 on the 2022 budget.
We didn't even have a meeting.
We had a discussion on the budget
We
for
didn't have a
20
meeting on the.
Well, okay, so it could be here as presented, that maybe as presented by the controller and Plant Moran on June 20th, 23. Maybe that could be the wrong date or whatever, but the key part of this is amending the budget, period. That's all that is.
Balance the
That's the key part.
Balance the checkbooks and everything.
No, I
And the good
understand.
news, the good news, it's a decrease, so.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're putting money into the fund balance.
Council Chair, the motion says it was presented to the council body.
Okay, I know. So if you feel more comfortable,
Council Chair,
we could cross that part out.
Council Chair.
Just get rid of as presented. Go ahead, Councilman.
Council Chair, I want to amend my budget to remove the, as presented by Comptroller and Plant Moran on the June 20th, 2023 communication to City Council as outlined in 9E.
Okay, motion amended. Councilwoman?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded. All in favor, please
Council
state aye.
Chair,
Oh,
if
go
we
ahead.
have discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, we did do discussion, but go ahead.
Can you give us the highlights of what big differences in this are? I mean, is it dozens and dozens of little things, or what?
Yeah, it's a lot of little things, and then there were some things that were that we had, last year was actually budgeted in different places that we actually moved to other accounts.
That was the
So-
long list you gave us in the backup, correct?
Yes, this is the very long list. This is everything that tells you
It was all
every
there.
single account where we're over budget or we're under budget. So at the end of the day, on the very last page, we were under budget by $675,000. And that will go into,
Which on a positive note is good.
which is on a positive note, it will go into your general fund, your fund balance. So I can go through this if you'd like, unless you just want to pick and choose a few that you want me to talk about.
I would just, in the budget, there was a $13 million deficit, and that was the water bill or water rate thing or whatever it was.
This is just the general fund.
This is the general fund.
This is
and it
just the
says,
general fund.
Contractual services went from 170,000 to 320,000.
What account are you looking
I'm
at?
looking at contractual services for 20818.
Okay, so your contractual services, we had budgeted $170,000, and we spent $267,000. And then for professional contracted services, we had budgeted $456,000, and we had spent $621,000. So we were definitely over budget by those two.
That's a lot to be over budget, and you said when all this adds up, we came out ahead?
Oh, yes, because if you look at the first page, your hospital insurance, we had budgeted $457,000. We only spent $102,000.
That's why this is a fluid budget and it can be amended
Right.
all the time.
Okay, it has to.
I mean, you gotta go through each one of these, and I did a lot of math, and, because I was confused at first too, just like everybody else was. But after reading all of this, $671,700 going to the general budget now, makes me feel very good.
We're up, basically.
I mean, some were over budget, some were under budget, so you gotta clean up the mess now.
Yeah, and I mean, I really can't, there's nothing that I can do right now.
It's all in
Yeah, I
county.
know that.
I mean, we
All right.
can,
So let's go ahead and take this to a vote, if you don't mind. Madam Clerk, because one was a off vote, so can you please take roll call?
Are we doing the
Were we
amended-
still,
amended motion,
you
right?
amended it?
Yeah, it was amended.
Okay, then
So we
you,
could go ahead and vote on
Vote
it
on
now.
that
That's
one,
fine, with the amendment. Motion amended by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is
you.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Controller.
King.
Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Conrad, contract addition.
Council Chair,
What?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the addition of lead copper testing to the existing contract with Hennessy Engineers, Inc. for a cost not to exceed $4,900 as outlined in 9-F.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
and I'm just asking out loud, maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm always seeing Hennessy Engineers, always. And are we going out for RFP for these, or did we already, are we just awarding
I
these to?
think we already did.
I think we already did. You already did, and they're good,
Okay.
local.
I
Okay,
mean, the
I
director
just
is
want
here
to-
if you want to, he can answer the question.
Council Chair, raise one up. Is this per test, per resident, or per household, or? what is it?
No.
Not to exceed 4,900, but yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we have a contract with Hennessy Engineering to provide our S1 water services. So this is an amendment to their contract that,
To add the lead copper testing.
to include lead copper testing in their services. It's something we're required to do by Eagle. We do it every year. They take random samples of houses. I don't have the number off the top of my head that, the number of samples that they do, but, we contact the residents, we give them a sample kit, and things like that. We're asking Hennessy to help us with this services to get this done in a quick, efficient manner. It's very time-consuming to my staff when we do it, and it takes a lot out of our daily schedule. So this is just, they have the skill and the ability to contact the residents, make this, do this testing, drop off the test bottles, pick the test bottles back up, mail them to, the testing company in a timely manner so the test samples don't spoil. It's a win-win for everybody and for my staff
Council
to
Chair,
get this done.
one more thing,
So-
please.
Okay.
Make sure that when they come to the people's homes, they have proper ID visible.
Yes.
And a vehicle that's clearly marked. Because if somebody comes up to my house with a 1977 LTD, I'm not gonna let them in my house, no matter what badge they got, okay?
Well, I don't know, I don't think the consultant provides vehicles for their staff.
Well, they gotta have some sort of signage on a vehicle because people look at that stuff.
But they will have ID.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put this to
Council
a
Chair,
vote.
Council Chair, can you clarify, Council Chair?
Go ahead.
Can you clarify the $4,900, is that for a year?
No, it's for this one testing cycle.
One testing
It's for
cycle?
60 residents.
60 residents, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda, DPW Director Conrad again. Busy man lately. Replacement of library air conditioning compressors.
Council Chair,
Councilman Constant?
That the Dearborn Heights, I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the replacement of 2 air conditioning compressors at the John F. Kennedy Junior Library by Allied Building Service of Detroit, Inc. for a total cost of $25,450. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payment from the library capital account number
738-981-000 upon completion of the work as outlined in 9G.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Constant and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Any discussion on that?
Are we gonna have a warranty, and what's the warranty like on these, and,
Director Conrad?
and how big are these, units? I mean, they're $13,000 apiece. They better be some good
Well,
sized units.
they're getting them from the MI deals, so my deal, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, yes, there is a warranty with them. And
Hope it's not 1 year parts and labor. It's gotta be more than that. I get,
it's a tiered thing. So I mean, you get 1 year's parts and labor on certain things. You get, 5 years on compressors. I mean, it's a tiered thing depending on, the item. So, and this is, I believe, two of four compressors that are up there. So, I mean, in order to keep the other compressors, still working, I mean, if we don't do this,
You're gonna be overloaded.
on a warm day, we're going to overload, and then we're going to be replacing 4 compressors, if we don't do this.
I'm not saying
So-
I'm gonna deny it, but what I wanna see in the future is we get some good warranties on these things. We're not getting them for free. 1 year parts and labor to me, I mean, anybody gets that, but I even bought a furnace in Central Air myself a number of years ago, and I got a 10-year warranty.
These aren't new units. I mean, this is a replacement part for an existing rooftop unit.
Wait a minute, so this is just a part for the unit?
That's just the compressors, right. That's just the compressors for the rooftop unit. That's not a whole.
Holy moly.
Right. I mean, the library's a big building.
Well, I understand, that's why I'm asking you what size they are. What size are these, this equipment? I mean, what are they, 20 ton, 30 ton?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have those details for you. I mean, but they are the replacement parts for the AC unit that's up there.
Who's installing them?
Allied. They're our service contractor.
Okay, can you get that information for me,
Wait,
how big they are?
They have here, but they don't have the tonnage.
Yeah, the tonnage and the type of compressor it is, you
So
know.
Allied will provide 2 New York
York, okay.
OEM tandem compressors. The next one doesn't matter. Provide labor.
Yeah, rigging and
all
all that,
labor.
'cause they gotta
yeah,
go up
the
the top.
standard filters.
Okay, so that price includes all of the labor getting up, okay.
Oh, yeah. Everything.
I stand to be corrected, sir, and I apologize, because once you start getting rigging and a crane in there, that's a lot of money.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put this to a
Thank you.
vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is item 9H, Parks and Recreation Director. Thank you, Director. Parks and Recreation Director Lawrence L., new lease vehicle for Director. Anybody?
Council Chair, I'll read it.
I'm sorry?
Council Chair?
Go ahead. What were you saying, Councilwoman?
I can read it.
Okay, go ahead.
For discussion. I recommend that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the lease of a 2023 Chevrolet Trailblazer as a new replacement vehicle for Parks and Recreation Director Lawrence L. for an amount not to exceed $598.98 per month. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants, treasurer to issue payment from 691-816 as outlined in 9H.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilwoman Breyer and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on
Council
that?
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not one to deny a new vehicle where it's really needed, but I asked for some maintenance records on the 2017 Fusion that's being driven, and from my understanding, it's only got 11,000 miles on it. To me, that's basically a new car. What are we gonna do with this vehicle? I mean, I know there's supposedly a lease, but it's a 6-year lease. How do we have a vehicle that's got a 6-year lease and 11,000 miles on it?
It's excessive.
God, we should, that's I got a 217 with 40-some thousand miles on it, and it's brand new.
Yeah. Kim Lawrence, the Parks and Recreation Director. Just to let you know, I guess there's insurance issues because it's out of contract as far as the lease goes. And so that's pretty much it in regards to that. The car still runs well. but, there's issues with that. And plus, it's a 2017, so, there's going to
holds the
be
lease?
some things. Who? Enterprise.
Enterprise, that's what, Enterprise's vehicle.
I'm not clear on that yet.
No, we get fleet leases through Enterprise.
Through Enterprise.
Yeah, we get the
But
fleet.
I think the city administration has something to say about what's done with the vehicle as far as it being sold or something. I'm not clear on how all of that
Well, we-
works because
we
I'm not
could-
an expert
We
at
can't
that.
sell the vehicle if it's owned by the lease company.
It's hard to explain what they explained to me, but because we've owned it for so long, the gal that I'm working with pretty much has said that it's up to the city on what they do with the vehicle. So,
So there's always on vehicles, at the end of the lease, there's a buyout clause, so there's a particular dollar amount.
And
you
that might
could,
be what
if you
she's talking
choose to,
about.
Pay it off and keep the vehicle.
Guys, I just
Yeah.
want to tell you guys, I think I can answer this a little bit. Actually, I think Councilman Ahmad can speak on this a little. There's a credit that's given, so that car, remember when we did this, I think like 6, 7 months ago, we did this with, I believe,
the fire
the fire department with
Yeah.
Chief Brogan. And
Exactly.
we were discussing about what was going on. He explained to us, Enterprise came in, you get a car from Enterprise, it's not through a fleet. When you turn that car in, you get a credit that goes, so you have one big, we approved one big lump sum. And then when she's turning this fleet car back in, it goes back towards that big lump sum.
and that's kind of what she explained.
Yeah, but we don't know
Sort of.
what they're giving us for this vehicle.
She
I mean, a
said the
217
vehicle
Fusion is worth some money.
would be based on the Blue Book price, is what she said, and that's what, it should be
I
sold
mean, that should
for.
have been given to us, what we're gonna get back for it, because I really don't want to get rid of what I consider a new
agree.
car with 11,000 miles on it.
There are still, the problems with it being out of contract and the insurance issues and things like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be before you.
My personal suggestion to administration would be to find out what the buyout is on this car, buy it out, and like we've done in the past,
Or bring it
pass
back
it
to
on
us.
to either ordinance, building department, et cetera, instead of giving it back to the fleet and they sell it for more money. The other question I had is, the 598, and I'm not a car expert as far as pricing, but.
It prices your porch.
Shut up. Excuse me. You can't have this guy next to me.
You wanted them next to you.
No, not like that. So, the question I had, for your particular job, I don't know if we necessarily need an SUV. I think most cars pretty much will do, because I know you're traveling, and I know you can't travel with your car, but do we really need an SUV? And can we get, because I do know some salespeople, and this is where I go back to what we've talked about before. Maybe we should promote this, and I know Councilman Baydun also mentioned, promote it on social media, get other people to bid, find other bids. Because I could find car people right now that could get you a car for $400. It's not gonna be the exact one, 2023 Chevrolet, but I could think of a particular person right now that works at Chevrolet. I don't want to name names.
Ali Rita.
But I could call and say, hey, give me the best deal you've got, and they will.
He's in the
Yeah.
Guinness World Record.
And this is something that's something that frustrates me with government, is how they do things with this bid net crap. We're always overpaid for stuff versus, I know it's not the common thing, but God, I'm so frustrated with this stuff instead of just making a call and getting a better deal.
Yeah.
Are you okay with waiting a little bit? Maybe at least until our next council meeting, so maybe some of us can make some
I can
calls.
gather the rest of the information that you're requesting. Maybe she can put it
The
in writing
buyout.
what happens to the other vehicle. But the reason I opted for the larger car is I still do a lot of carting of stuff. And we're going to be doing, once Warren Valley's done, we're going to be doing more events there.
Would the F-150 work? Would the F-150 work? Because I know a friend of mine just got one with $400 and some dollars
I'm
per
not
month.
sure, I'm not familiar with it, any of the vehicles.
Pickup truck.
F-150 is too hard to get in for her.
Yeah.
It
If
is.
it's high, I'm not gonna like it.
She drives an F-150.
2023, Ray, we gotta be careful what we say.
So, do you mind?
I've never used a
I
pickup
understand.
truck, so I don't
I
know.
want to know how long that 598 is.
Personally, I'd like to table this, but that's me.
Yeah, but I'd like to know how much that 598, 898 is going to be too. For how long's the lease term on that? Because how long the lease term will be, because if I got to keep paying 598, 96
This is a
for-
3-year,
Well, that's
lease
what I
term,
need to
yeah.
find out if it's
Yeah.
going to be for 3 years.
Yeah,
I
just like
need
the
to
other
know
one
that
was.
number.
No, it's not. It's 60 month. 5 years.
5 years. So,
I could get a better deal.
yeah, that's a buy.
I could open up my, I know, but it's still
Please.
better prices out there.
Yeah.
Okay, do you mind?
No, I don't
I'd like
mind.
to suggest if we
I can
could
find the
table
other
this,
information out.
get the information, yes.
It's not a hurry, so.
They cover all the maintenance on the vehicle.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
You can get a cheaper vehicle, but they don't cover the maintenance.
Well, let's get all that information.
Council Chair, I mean, you don't cover the maintenance, but if you got a leased car, I mean, anything happens, you take it back to the dealer anyway.
Right.
By the way, how much is the payment on the Fusion right now?
It's about $100 less.
A month?
Can we
I
get
think
all
it's
that
about
information?
$100 less than this. I don't have that at my fingertips, but
Okay.
I can let you know the next
I'd like
time.
to suggest we table this till we get some more information, and for those council members, I'd like to make some calls, if we get a better deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Corporation Council, we are allowed to just obviously buy it from anywhere, we'd have to go through this fleet thing, so.
Council Chair, time out. You guys have to keep in mind that we have a contract with Enterprise, which this body approved on.
But we don't have to go through them.
You must have somebody who look at that contract. From what I spoke with the chief at the time, we signed a contract to go through them.
No,
Now, I'm not saying I want to do this. I think this is, believe it or not, you want my honest opinion, I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Wiley Rito would give it to us for $350. And it would cover warranty.
Again, there's no free loyal maintenance and all that for 5 full years.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Corporation.
I'd like to refer the motion back to the administration
I'll
because
second
this is
that.
excessive.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All in favor of returning it back to administration to get further information? All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is, and this one did not have any backup, Councilman Wenzel asked that I add this on the agenda. I told him I would do it, and I said, obviously, we gotta get backup, but we did not receive it. So, Councilman Wenzel, ARPA budget amendment.
Thank you, Council Chair. This amendment is in conjunction with a resolution that I've presented to City Council a couple times in the last 3 or 4 months. And it's provides bonuses for our full-time hourly employees. What I'm asking for on the budget is to set aside into a restricted fund $700,000 for these bonuses. The money to come from the unrestricted portion of our ARPA money received by the city of Dearborn Heights. And to follow up we're not voting on the resolution today. I just want the budget amendment to set this money aside into a restricted fund. But the resolution is to provide cash bonuses to all full-time hourly employees in the city of Dearborn Heights, including but not limited to fire and police. These funds will be taken from the unrestricted portion of the ARPA money received by the city of Dearborn Heights. It says thereas full-time hourly employees of the city of Dearborn Heights have gone through and have gone above and beyond our expectations fulfilling their obligations of their positions while serving the residents of Dearborn Heights. Whereas the number of full-time hourly employees is dwindling and new candidates are not stepping forward to apply for these positions, especially fire and police. Whereas the low starting pay is a deterrent for anyone seeking employment in the city of Dearborn Heights. Whereas the total monetary amount of these bonuses should not exceed $700,000. Whereas the total number of bonuses, if the total number of bonuses exceeds $700,000, it will be divided equally between all eligible employees. Whereas the employees receiving the bonuses shall stay employed by the city of Dearborn Heights for not less than 1 year after receiving their bonuses. Whereas if an employee receiving the bonuses voluntarily leaves employment from the city of Dearborn Heights, that employee will forfeit their entire bonuses per a legal document signed at the time of receiving the bonus. Whereas these bonuses are issued on the second pay period of July 2023. Therefore, the city of Dearborn Heights City Council approves a $22,000 bonus to all full-time hourly employees in the city with the hope that we may show them that we care about show them that we, as city council members, care about them and their families, and we want them to maintain employment by the city of Dearborn Heights for a long time. So that's the resolution that I'm going to provide later, but right now I want a budget amendment to set aside $700,000. And take into consideration $700,000 is just about half of what we're paying a company to tell us what to do with our ARPA money. So,
Okay. So just to clarify, Councilman, because obviously we didn't get backup, so, and I know you read it right now, but I tell you from here, I
Council
know.
Chair,
Wait,
just, I don't want to interrupt you.
One second. So just to clarify, when you're stating $700,000 to be put on the side as a budget amendment, that would mean we can't, obviously, any time that we are gonna use that would have to be obviously approved. I just wanna make sure that's what your intent is.
yes, that's my intent, yes.
Okay, in the event, and we always have to address that, the resolution comes forward and does not pass, obviously the money goes back into the fund it was in previously, is that correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilman Bedun.
And I'm not trying to pick at anybody right now, but we've had 5 things here without any,
Well, that's why I've said we're not gonna vote on this. He's just asking right now that money be put on the side, that's why I was clarifying, that money be put on the side until we get this
but if we
particular
don't use
resolution.
the whole 700,
It goes, that's why I made it clear, it would go
Okay.
back into the fund.
okay.
So at this point, you're not approving it necessarily.
We're just approving the placeholder.
Placeholder.
Council Chair?
Wait, one second. Councilman Constant, then Councilman Wenzel.
I suggest Councilman Wenzel first discuss this with the administration, an idea like this. For one thing, the ARPA money can't be used for bonuses. In fact, there was
Unrestricted,
a
Ken.
county up
Okay,
up
nothing-
north
nothing
or
from the
somewhere
police.
where they all voted in with some of the ARPA money for bonuses for themselves, and it wasn't allowed, and they all got voted out of office. The ARPA money has restrictions on it, and again, this is something that has to be thought out and to work with the administration first, and the treasurer and everyone else regarding if this is a permissible use of ARPA money. And as far as a legal document that someone will sign that, so if they get a bonus, they have to stay on for a year. But then if they leave before a year, they have to pay the money back. That's not allowed for by Michigan law.
Either way, we're not voting on a resolution today. Right now, he is just asking that money be put on the side until basically further notice. So that's all we're voting on at this particular point.
Council
Thank
Chair.
you. Councilman Muscat.
I'd also proposed a resolution for ARPA money, and it was like $400,000. And I discussed this with a few people, and I did ask the administration to give me a number. I didn't want the names, obviously, but a number of the people that actually had to come to work during that time, because anyone who was off was getting paid anyway. It's no different than businesses that were shut down were allowed to get money to pay their employees who were not getting paid. And that's what the ARPA money was actually for people who weren't getting paid. But as far as giving money, ARPA money out, I'd like to give it to the people who actually had to come to work. I know we had police and fire. They're number 1 and number 2 on the list. We also had DPW people out there digging holes and fixing water main breaks and maintaining other buildings and doing things of that nature. We probably had people in the clerk's office that had to come in and work, or the treasurer's office that had to come to work because bills had to get paid. But the actual people that had to come to work are the ones that really are eligible for this, and not the people that stayed home and got paid. So that actually saves the money for the people who really had to come to work and sacrifice. So I understand what Councilman Wenzel wants to do. I just want to, bring that up for some food for thought for the councilman when I have my vote. So it's not that I'm against putting any money out there, because I do. And I'm waiting for the administration to give me those numbers. And then if this doesn't go through, I will be putting mine in. And I will be tasking the administration for that.
Why don't we just tailor this so that it's both of yours? And why don't we just put, and this is just a placeholder of $700,000.
Yeah, but we can't use that money then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we're gonna go
refer
back to the
to
general outlay.
Council Chair, I was just saying, when you're saying a placeholder, you're taking the money out of ARPA, you're setting it aside, but you are
Setting it aside,
touching
you're
the
not
fund.
spending any of the money.
But you're still touching the federal monies. I don't know what it's earmarked for. This is
Okay,
just a fly-by-night, but
hold on,
I'd say
one second.
we take time and study it out.
Thank you. Didn't we
before
also
we
put
make it to a
aside,
vote,
we put
make it to a
aside
vote.
$10 million though from ARPA money into our general ledger, which could be used anywhere from what we were told. So if we had that, hang on, guys, stop, man, please, thank you.
It's actually 7.8 million.
$7.8 million was put aside, which could be spent anywhere. If we wanted to take $7.8 million right now and dump it on City Hall, we could do that.
I don't think.
I'm sorry, but I say here and I listen to these two young girls and I listen to what the administration told us.
Right.
We put $7.8 million aside so that the government cannot touch it and they cannot tell us how we can spend it.
We can
The
have
remainder has to be go
We
through
can have
these
Plant
5 different
Moran come
categories.
back and give you an analysis of what the 10 million and the specific earmarks for ARPA are. I did the
Roger,
contract for ARPA.
I will send you the video.
I know, I get it, but I think that it's really premature.
Council Chair.
But it could be discussed. I'm not saying we shut it down.
Well, hold
We
on.
look at it, but we do balance what the federal requirements for the ARPA are. Your 10 million have set aside. Plant Moran will give you an update on it. Let's not rush into this, but make a reasoned decision.
Guys, I just want to, hold on, Council Chair, I wasn't done. I wasn't done.
You guys are getting
Just real quick,
confused
Council
with-
Chair, we're going through the council
Let
chair.
me clarify
Let him
one.
finish.
Yeah.
The money was not
Council
moved
Chair, we're
into
going
a
through the
restricted
council
fund.
chair.
Let him finish, let him finish.
No, I know, but I want to
Okay.
clarify something.
I just want to make a few, okay, $24 million, Council Chair, okay? $24 million. We took $10 million, 2 point, whatever it was, 2.2 million that we put into our budget 2 years ago. We had 7.8, where the two ladies say here, the administration told us, Plant Moran Gap was here, the comptroller was here and the treasurer was here. They said, we're putting the $7.8 million back into our general outlay, which could be spent without the government controlling how we spend it. And we said this to protect the residents and to be able to protect us. So now, today, we're being told something different than what's going on here. We know that the remaining money has restrictions and it can only be spent on certain things that fall under the ARPA relief fund. That's the discussion we had here 2 months ago.
Well, we're talking two different things.
Okay.
You're raising issues about the past that can be legitimately debated, plus you have something that's being put forward. Those are separate.
Well, this one's not being proposed yet. This
But
resolution is
it's-
not on the table.
But you're asking that money be set aside.
Right,
for
so,
this,
so
which
here's
I'm
the thing,
saying-
I can answer you, that Corporation Council, with due respect. If we make this motion right now to set this money aside, any federal government laws supersede any city laws. So if it's against the law for us to be able to put that on the side, we won't be able to, despite what we agree on today anyways.
But that's out of the
So that was
14
covered.
million.
Why don't we wait and then check it out?
Well, we can wait. I'm just stating, if we did approve it today, it turns out to be against the law, we won't be able to do it anyways.
Council
Okay.
Chair.
Corporation I'm sorry, Wenzel and then Constant. Go ahead.
Council Chair, I just want to reiterate that these funds are taken out of the unrestricted part of ARPA. That means you can basically do anything. We put 7.8. We put a total of 10 million into the budget with money we needed emergency about a year ago because our first month of our budget, we were already $2,000 in the red. But if we don't do something with this money, it's going to be gone. And this money was entitled for the people, our residents. It's in the general fund now, and that can be spent on anything. It can be spent on new chairs over there. It can be spent on anything. This money's intended for the people, and we could do anything we want with it. It's unrestricted. The other portion of the 24 million is restricted by the government. So to put this in the general fund in the first place I thought it was a mistake. It's just, to balance the budget or something. What happens next year? Where are we gonna get $10 million next year to balance the budget? But this is for the people. And to say we want to fire and police and a couple other employees to get this money is a slap in the face again, a punch in the gut to the TPOM workers, which they've been getting punched in the gut for the last several years.
Council Chair.
So again-
Council Chair, but in that retrospect, the people that actually stayed home and got paid get more money, and the people that had to come to work are gonna get the same thing. That to me is a punch in their gut.
Okay.
To the police and fire who have to be on the road.
I agree. You should amend
Okay,
that.
so we can't.
No.
we do-
I'm not taking anything away from
Yeah,
the
you
place.
are.
Wait, both council members, 1 second.
Okay.
Let's get something straight here. We are not voting on putting on this, we are only voting on the 700,000 being put on the side. There's no resolution in front of us, so at this point, let's not debate something that still is not in front of us. I understand. Okay, last one, Councilman Constant, we're gonna go ahead and put this to a vote.
Where the 700 is coming from, he thinks it's coming from the restricted.
I'll allow you to speak right after this. Councilman Constant, then your statement, and then we're done.
Again, Council Chair, his intention is good, and I also agree with Councilman Musket. People were paid to stay at home for months and months. The specifics of this have to be worked out. To say this money's it's for the people, it's all gonna be spent for the people. It's taxpayer dollars. But the funds are restricted in that it's extra money, the 25 million, that can't just be spent on, for example, bonuses. That's a big no-no. It's like the shovel-ready projects under President Obama. They wouldn't allow for pools or hot tubs or, so again, he needs to work with the administration and what's allowable for these funds.
Okay, so one last thing for Councilman Wenzel, when, I'm gonna allow you to speak, 1 second. So you could amend your motion to say $700,000 will be set aside, provided it is allowed per the federal guidelines, and that would cover everyone.
From which account, though?
I'm sorry?
You better be specific as to where the money's gonna come from.
Well, it's coming from the 7.8 million, is that correct?
No, that's not ARPA money now. It's a revenue loss. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The money already, you guys approved it, to move the money into, because it was a loss because of COVID. So now you moved it to a general fund.
Everybody from the, I'm sorry, 1 second, Mayor.
Point of order,
Please,
Council Chair.
nothing from the audience, please. I don't want to throw anybody out, I don't want to yell or scream at anybody, and I don't want to hit the gavel if I don't have to. Please, respect, please. Everybody will have their opportunity to speak, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, the money went to the general fund, and you guys approved it. So it's no longer an ARPA money.
Correct.
So that's why I asked, if you put a motion for the 700,000, you gotta be specific where you want the money to come from.
Okay, so
Because
to
then you
answer
have
the
the other
councilman,
ARPA
where's money
The rest
available?
of it, you already, when we report to the government, to the federal government where the money is, we did claim the 10 million as revenue loss. The rest of the money is allocated for water sewer already. And that's how we're reporting it to the government, because it's.
So are you stating, Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, there is no $700,000 available?
You have to take it from the water sewer money for the ARPA that we already allocated. So that's why you gotta be specific.
What about the 7.8 that we approved?
That's the general fund money
I know,
that we
so
just
do we have
said,
it,
the
do we still
revenue
have it in the
loss.
general fund?
I just said. We had to do the $10 million revenue loss, right? So we moved that into the general.
No, I'm asking, is there still any ARPA, that 10 million
That's
that we?
not ARPA now, it's in the
I
general
understand, the
fund.
money that we approved to move over from this account to this account, is there any more of
You
that
can
money?
move whatever money you want, Councilman.
I'm just asking a question.
I'm just telling you. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. The
My-
7-something million dollars is in a general fund.
Is it still in there is what I'm asking?
It's still there, yes.
Okay, so that's unrestricted now.
Okay,
It's in a general fund.
all right.
Correct.
I'm gonna take 30 seconds with the controller, and then we're gonna go ahead and put this to a vote. Controller, do you have a sec, if you don't mind, please? If you could clarify for everyone, please. And add on to that, in addition to clarifying, is there 700 available? I know it's available, but from what fund specifically, so that Councilman Wenzel can be more specific in his motion?
Okay, so we moved the 7.8 million from the ARPA fund over to the fund balance. So yes, we do have money in the fund balance. However, that is a cushion because we don't have a lot of money and we need money in order for a rainy day, okay? We were living on $3 million forever. Now we've got a little cushion, we've got negotiations coming up, and that's where that money's gonna come out of. Plus, we just did a budget with no wiggle room in there because we always have to ask for budget amendments. Well, when we do a budget amendment, that money has to come out of the fund balance. So $10 million is not a lot of money when you start spending it on things like frivolously. Now, I understand, Mr. Wenzel, that you do think that that our employees do deserve some kickback from the COVID. I understand that. However, I would request that you wait until we get through negotiations, and then we can sit down and discuss this, and then we can come up with a liable bonus amount for the people who did work. I'm okay with that.
But
I
again,
just-
we're not voting on that right now.
Right.
But
You're
on the
just
other
asking
hand,
me if you have
on the other hand,
$700,000
with the
to
rainy
move.
day
Still taking the
fund,
money.
Yes.
with the rainy day fund, and I'm quoting you,
Yes.
and I understand where you're coming from.
Yes,
That money can be taken out of there, is that correct?
yes.
So, what is the specific legal accounting term for that rainy day fund that you want Councilman Wenzel to use?
It's
general
considered
fund?
our fund balance, yes.
And our
It
fund
is under
balance. So,
general fund.
Councilman Wenzel, restate your motion from the general fund balance, correct?
Fund balance, that's
Subject
correct.
to being allowed per the federal guidelines.
ARPA money no more.
Okay, I know, but
Yes.
just, that would cover us. You guys are not understanding something, and I see where the mayor is coming from. If we're breaking those potential guidelines, we could, God forbid, potentially lose it. So as long as we make active statements, subject to this being allowed per the federal guidelines, would cover us. And if Corporation Council comes back later on that it is not allowed, then we won't do it.
Well, I would say when you have labor, and the control said, you have labor negotiations coming up, and you're giving bonuses prior to the labor negotiations.
Yeah.
That affects, that
Okay.
interferes with our favor, the fair labor
But
standards.
that's a strategy, not necessarily whether it's allowed or not. So right now.
Well, it hurts the city. It hurts
Well, I
us
know,
if we go into
but then based on
negotiations.
based on that statement, that decision will ultimately be made when the resolution is eventually brought forward by the council body. Right now, we're not voting on it.
Well, you're setting money aside, and you're sending a message that I've got that much money aside to give to you for bonuses. I'm giving you bonuses. Well, how does that affect the contract
again-
negotiation? No, what I'm saying is, you're setting aside, you're not using it per se, but you're setting it aside, and it's sending a message. And it's affecting our negotiations with our lawyers.
Okay.
Our corporate lawyers doing this, as well as the bargaining table when we go. So I appreciate Mr. Wenzel's heart, but I just think that I've said it from before. He's interfering with our contract negotiations, and I'm against that.
Okay, and I
I'd say
respect
do not
that,
recommend
and I
setting it
respect
aside,
that, but that would
and
be an
ask that you
opinion
table
at
it.
this point. I'm asking,
My legal opinion is that you table it, and you do some research, and you get
Okay.
input into it.
so Councilman Wenzel, final resolution.
Okay, it's not a resolution, I guess.
Well, I'm sorry,
it's
motion, sorry.
A motion? I was gonna make a couple of
Or we
things
could table
perfectly
it.
clear here. This has nothing to do with people who worked or didn't work during COVID. This is it, like my first thing, whereas our full-time hourly employees in the city of Dearborn Heights have gone above and beyond our expectations, filling their obligations of their positions while serving the residents of Dearborn Heights. I mean, I want to award everyone, not because you worked during COVID or you didn't work during COVID. I want to show these employees that we love them and we want to keep them. We're losing too many of them, regardless they worked through COVID or not. I'm not keeping anybody out. I'm not saying the fire department's not going to get any money or the police aren't, they're going to get the money. Every full-time hourly employee will get this money to show them that we appreciate them and we want them to stay in the city of Dearborn Heights.
Okay.
And I'd like
So
to make a motion.
So what's your motion?
Okay, my motion is that this Dearborn Heights City Council set aside $700,000 out of the fund balance for a future resolution, which I'll provide.
Provided
Provided that it's legal through the federal
legally
government.
allowable per the federal
Tom, can you add
guidelines.
one more thing? For the people who worked.
Just a resolution.
No, right now, we're not doing a
We're
resolution.
not saying where the money's going.
Okay.
Okay, subject to, Madam Clerk, did you get that?
Subject to,
Subject to this being allowable per the federal ARPA guidelines. We're good? Okay, so let's go ahead, that's it, we're gonna go ahead and put this to a vote.
okay, Council Chair, if it wouldn't, federal ARPA guidelines wouldn't pertain to this because it's no
Again,
longer, but
just in
anyway,
case,
yeah.
then if it wouldn't
Okay.
pertain, then it would be allowed.
Yeah, okay, so we'll do, okay,
We're
we'll
good.
keep it that way, okay.
Okay,
All right.
so, all in favor, please state aye.
Council Chair, we need a second.
I second it.
He did, yeah, Councilman Baydun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Okay. Next up on the agenda is.
Council Chair?
Yes,
I
Councilman.
just want you guys to keep in mind, this ARPA money was given to be to employees and to residents. Stop,
Okay.
guys, please, Cash, hold on for a
We
second.
voted.
But I just want to reiterate something. You know, I lost a family member to COVID, right? An EMT specialist came out, picked up my uncle, God rest his soul, drove him to the hospital. He had to sit there alone. You had your first responders, all these employees, and I can tell you, because it feels like a lot of us are prisoners of the moment right now, what happened in 2020, I promise you guys, we were all saying we'll do anything for our EMTs, we'll do anything for our nurses, we'll do anything for our doctors. And let me tell you, these are people that stuck out their lines. And I agree with Councilman Muscat on this. I am not for anybody that sat at home and collected that unemployment money or took that PPP or whatever the hell that stuff was, because I got none of it. Loan officers were still able to work. But to me, it's more about, this goes to our residents and these goes to our employees at City Hall. You said it many times that the city of Dearborn Heights is the largest employer in the city of Dearborn Heights.
Right.
How are we not going to continue to do that?
Okay. Thank you.
And again, this
So-
last vote was just for
Putting
setting
it
it
money aside.
This is not spending the money
Right.
or giving the money. This is putting the money to the side. So this is basically its own restricted money.
And a quick moment of silence for your uncle, God rest his soul.
Thank you, Council Chair.
I lost my mom through COVID also.
God rest her soul.
There's a lot of people that read.
All right.
Everyone.
Next item on the agenda is item 13A, that business license renewal.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that we renew the business license for, isn't it Carrera's Italian Cucina?
Mm-hmm. Here he is. Go ahead.
My former, from years ago, client.
On Telegram.
Your mic.
Okay.
At 6565 North Telegraph Road, Dearborn Heights, 48127, as outlined in 13A.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Constant, seconded by Councilman Baidoon. Any discussion on that? Great Italian food, by the way. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, comments from council members.
Council Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you so much. I have a small list, but a few things that I have to say here. First and foremost, we're going to be celebrating 4th of July weekend. I remind everybody to be safe, be cautious. Know that our paramedics are going to be extremely busy. The fire department is going to be extremely busy. Our police department is going to be extremely busy. And so I want to thank our first responders. I want to thank the men and women in the fire department and the police department who are going to be extremely busy during this week and this weekend. Be cautious when you're traveling. Enjoy time with the family. I know Councilman Mr. Wenzel and myself have constantly been talking about family time. Spend time with your family. July 3rd will also be my beautiful wife, Layla Baidoon. We'll be celebrating her birthday, and so I also want to wish my wife a happy birthday. I love her. I know she's on here putting my son to sleep. Thank you. I also want you guys to, just keep in mind a few things. Some of the residents sleep early. If you know that you have an older and elderly senior living next to you, look, man, you want to pop fireworks, take it to, an open parking lot. I know the rule is you can pop fireworks or light up fireworks on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You're not allowed to light up fireworks July 1st. You're not allowed to light up fireworks on July 6th. You're not allowed. It's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the day before, the day of, and the day after. Nothing else after that. Keep in mind, a lot of animals are afraid of this. Think of the animals that are killed during this time. They say there's close to 5,000. I think I read a statistic today, 5,000 birds across the U.S. get blown up on every 4th of July. To me, I'm an animal lover. I hate this statistic. I love fireworks, but, not on the life of an animal or a bird. It really, truly bothers me. And then, lastly here, I think we as a community, we need to do better to work alongside one another. This room here today, I think, was filled with emotions. There are residents that are fighting for abatements. There are residents that are fighting for sycamore trees. There are residents that are fighting for, the carcinogens coming out of firework. And, us on council, this administration, the clerk's office, the treasurer's office, the mayor's office, we can only do so much. But I promise you guys, none of us up here would be doing what we do if we didn't love to help people. And so I think, ultimately here, this last thing that Councilman Muscat, and I know Councilman Muscat, or Councilman Tom Wenzel and Councilman Muscat both have the same vision. but it's, tweaking the words here. So I want to make this clear that this motion that was just put on by Councilman Wenzel was also Councilman Muscat's idea as well. And I think that's important to recognize him. And I don't think his vote no was because he doesn't want to give the money out. I think he just wants to make sure that it was properly being allocated. And so I don't think anyone up here voted no, including, Councilwoman Breyer or Councilman Constant, was because they don't want to pass this out. I think they just want to make sure that, the details are properly, put together. And then just lastly, one last time, guys, spend time with your loved ones, spend time with your family. If you have kids, you got parents, elderly ones, my mother, my father, your father, your old neighbor, whatever it is, spend time with each other. The fighting, the bickering, the back and forth isn't worth it. Thank you.
Council Chair?
Council Chairman.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
I believe the mayor could help me and Mr. Smith could help me, but this has been driving me crazy. Should that eagle be facing the wall or should it come forward?
What?
It should face public.
What's-
Okay, let's do it right.
The city flag and the state.
Huh?
Bless America. God bless the USA.
Any other council members with
Council
comments? Councilman Muscat?
First and foremost, we had a blight meeting a few weeks back, and I really want to see some extra enforcement. I'm still seeing heavy shrubbery growing to the sky on some of these people's homes along fence lines that don't belong there. People just not taking care of their homes at all, or places of business, better yet, places of business. And I urge everyone, please, when you see it, call the ordinance department. Don't call council people until you see no action being taken, because sometimes when I get called, I call in and say, yes, a ticket was written, and they're supposed to go out and do this or that, and something was already done. So please, call the proper departments. You all know where you're supposed to go for trash and things of that nature, DPW, ordinance department, building engineering. So please, get that done, and to go back on Councilman Baydoun, 4th of July is here. Be respectful to your neighbors. And remember, the law really says if the firework leaves the ground, it's supposed to come back down on your own property. That's really the law, okay? And we know these big explosions, they don't land back on your property, land on everybody else's property. I'm constantly cleaning up the mess in my backyard. When I had a pool, I had a burned liner, and I had to replace a liner in a pool because of that. But please be respectful to your neighbors. I mean, some of these fireworks go on till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and people need to go to work the next day. You may have a DPW worker that lives next door to you that has to be at work on that holiday day. They might be 12 hours in a hole, digging a hole to fix a water main break, or police officers that work 12-hour shifts, and fire people that work these long shifts. Be respectful to them. And please keep up your property the best that you can. We want a beautiful city, and I'm going to be really touching on the tree ordinance with our attorney. I'd like to see a big change in that ordinance, and hopefully we can get something to benefit the people who have these sycamore trees out in front of their houses, because they need to go and do something with this money, okay? So that's I probably got a million more things I could say, but
That's enough.
that's enough.
Council Chair.
All right, Councilman Constant?
Thank you, Council Chair. And just to reiterate about the fireworks, in our subdivisions, the homes are very close together. If anybody owns a dog, dogs run around terrified. And again, especially elderly people, not only the noise, but, let's say a widow gets worried if something lands on the roof of their house, that it's going to get caught on
Widow,
fire.
I do.
And a married man like Councilman Muscat. And just regarding the, again, the spending of the ARPA money, the budget is a complex thing, and to set aside an amount of money and restrict that money, I heard our comptroller say that the ARPA money was allocated towards water and sewer improvements, capital improvements. So that means if money is taken out of that money's gonna have to made up somewhere. It may have to go with higher water bills. So the administration is the place to start. They say that the administration proposes, the legislative body disposes. It's our final word, one way or the other, but, and we discussed that, and we had reports and help on, from experts on how the money can be spent and not spent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members?
Council Chair?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. I just want to remind the residents who's going through hardship that the hardship exemption for the taxes are due by July 1st. But I did talk to the assessors, and they're willing to accept application through July 10th. So if anybody going through hardship, please make sure you submit the application by July 10th to the assessor's office. You could potentially have your taxes waived for this year. And as we celebrate our freedom, liberty, and independence, and we honor the brave men and women who fought for our country, I wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you, Council Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Council Chair?
Councilman, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. First of all, I want to thank, all the people that helped out other people during these past 3 or 4 days with the power outages. My daughter's power was out until she texted me on the way here that her power was finally turned back on. I know several residents and people outside the city were passing out generators and helping people with ice, so that's very commendable. The fact that you can look out for your neighbor. I know there's some houses that have power and just right across the street they don't. So you may offer them to put their food in your refrigerator or something like that. But it seemed to be, looking on Facebook and everything, that everyone's chipping in, doing a good job for their neighbors in the community. And as Councilman Baydoun said, family is the backbone of our community. And so your family, you should do stuff together. My big thing is go to services together. If you're not religious, spend some time, go for a walk, do something with your family, only for a couple minutes a day. You'll be happy you did, and you'll feel blessed that you were able to do that. I was asked by several residents at a function a couple of days ago, they said that their water rates went up. And I told them, no, they didn't go up because City Council didn't approve any water rate raise. And they said, well, yeah, it was. And then, so I sent an email out to all the council, and I got one response back that said that there was a public hearing planned, but it was turned down to do some further investigating. Now, is anybody from the administration, can they tell us if the water rates have been increased? Have they gone up?
No?
I don't think they went up.
They gotta bring up whatever residence has an issue, have them come down and we'll look at their water bill. That's what they're doing.
I don't think they went up at all.
The water rates have not gone up yet?
We haven't voted on it.
Not voted on.
Yeah, okay. That's what,
No.
please, Council
from the
Chair.
audience, please.
Please go ahead.
Council Chair, I just, yeah.
Nothing from the audience, please.
There was a proposed increase of like 14%.
It was 5 to 9%, and then I said, we took that out of the budget at the time,
Right.
and I said, we're gonna set a study session on it. We set a study session on it, because there was obviously some increases from GWLA or GLWA, whatever, I can't,
Glue.
Okay, and then that particular meeting has been put on hold for a bit, so there's no increases, we didn't vote on any increases. It's been put on hold until the chief of staff is working with Wade Trim on bringing them in to be a part of that particular meeting. So nothing has been voted on by council.
Okay, that's, yeah. So
Plant
the
Moran.
water rates have-
Plan Moran, I'm sorry, Plan Moran.
Yeah, so the answer to the question is the water rates have not gone up.
There's nothing we've voted on.
Not that I know of.
Not that we know.
Mr. Mayor, are you aware of any water rates going up? No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And happy 4th of July to everybody. Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Council Chair, I just want to say, my one last thing. I know is just one quick. I just want to say I actually golfed Warren Valley with my buddy Yusuf Nasrallah, great guy. We had a great time, and he said how amazing the course looked. And I just kind of want to remind the residents, Warren Valley is looking really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is administration announcements. Any announcements from administration?
Council Chair,
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
I just want to update the council and the residents. We had a meeting yesterday with all the mayors in the county and a contractor who was in charge of cleaning the creek, the Ecorse Creek. We had all the mayors from all the communities surrounding the creek. So they're going to start, well, first, there's going to be a town hall meeting with residents and the county and the contractor who's going to be cleaning in charge of cleaning the creek. So they're going to go out for bid in the next few months. So they're going to start first downstream and going upstream. So they're going to start with downstream of the Ecorse Creek. And one of the things, I just want the residents to know that the county will be contacting the residents directly. They're going to be sending a card. So for the residents, don't dispose the card. Just look at it and see exactly what the county is asking. They have to get into people's backyards to get into the creek. So they need cooperations from the residents. So that's why they're going to send cards to the residents, just so they can have a meeting with them, even if they go down door to door to the residents to chat with the residents. Also, in addition, they will be holding a town hall meeting in the next 2 to 3 months. Once all the cards are mailed out, they'll give specifics of where the town hall meetings will happen. And again, they're going to go community by community. So we're probably in the next 2 to 3 months, the residents of Dearborn Heights will get a card from the county to give specifics as what's going on.
Is this a part of the $10 million that
Yes.
was allocated by the county to the, I think, 9 or 10 cities?
Yes, it's going to be the $10 million that was allocated from Wayne County ARPA money.
Right.
And
So that's what this town
Yes.
hall will be in regards to? Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And, yeah, they got to go through, like I said, the whole creek, from downstream upstream. And also, I mean, what the biggest thing they're going to do is obviously clear the log jams, then take the sediments out of the creek and try to put reinforcements on the walls of the creeks just to make sure they don't collapse.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other announcements from anybody in administration? All right, seeing none. Next up is one of our popular items on the city council, our public comment section. Everyone will have 3 minutes. You could come on up. Please state your name, city, and street. I see who's, okay?
Why don't you do Zoom first? Why don't you do Zoom first?
I'm sorry? Well, I've already started with in person, it's okay. So Mr. Owen had asked for an extra minute, and I told him I
So
would
it's
give it
4
to him.
minutes, right?
So you have 4 minutes, correct?
Okay, I will time.
1 second.
I will
He's got-
time it
he's got time
first,
zone,
and then
1
I'll
minute,
stop,
and then I'll start with
and I'll
another
start,
3 minutes.
restart it, okay? So when
Bring
you,
in the generator. Put it right here. Please.
Take it. Thank you. You should have. What are you guys doing?
Right there, right here. Just park it right there. Park it right there. Just go. Sit down. Good afternoon. My name is Hassan Ayun. Bringing a generator over here, Mr. Bazzi, the mayor, like they say, sat there and brought a gentleman named Ahmed Al-Kabi to go around to residents because he doesn't want you guys on city council.
Just want me on city council, but that's.
He is using this for his vendetta because you guys are voting for the residents, not voting for the Democrat rubber stamp. He's the rubber stamp. He had an agenda with Mr. Mackey, and it took a long time for us to come here today and resolve the situation. Shame on him. They sat there and tried to tell Nancy over here, you want a generator? They bring Al-Kabi to bring her the generator. Maybe hold on. I'm not
Okay.
saying nothing bad. Listen,
Okay.
I got proof right here. Proof is right here. Could you submit this into, hold my time, please. Submit this into evidence. This is evidence right here. There's pictures that you took with Al-Kabi. If you needed a generator, reach out to us. You can't reach out to somebody that's running for office.
I didn't reach out to him. He had nothing to do with Mr.
It
Jamal
says right
Bazzi.
there-
And my nephew brought me a
Okay, then why is he in the
generator.
picture? Why is he taking pictures with you?
Okay.
That
I
was
mean,
in the
I'm
front
not
yard
trying to
when
tell
he
you.
was
I'm not trying to tell you
campaigning.
what to do, but you can't do that. It's
God.
for political reasons. You can't do that. I brought you a generator today for you.
Point of order,
This
she
is
can,
your
point of order,
generator.
point of
I bought it
order,
for you.
point of order, she
is
can do
public
whatever she
comment.
No,
wants.
I'm
she
not
does-
saying that. Excuse
Okay.
me. Don't interrupt me when I'm talking.
Okay.
Point of
fine.
order.
Mr. Please, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. I'm not interrupting you. When you were speaking, I didn't interrupt you. Please, this is my time. But I'm not interrupting nobody. Can you please give people, tell them not to, Mr. Chair, please
But
address
the only thing
the-
is, just be careful with the statements that you're
I'm
making.
not saying,
All right.
I'm trying to tell you that I can sit there and give anybody a gift. I'm giving this a gift. I'm a public activist. I don't need nothing from you. You cannot sit there, somebody running for office, and he's sitting there saying, oh, we got you a generator. You cannot take gifts from, you cannot even take, I can't even take you out to eat. I can't even do nothing for, I'm telling you this.
I have my nephew's generator,
Okay,
sir.
look at the thing, look at the paper. Is that you in the paper? Is that you in the, what's it called? Hold my time, let us see the paper first, please.
Okay, so at this point of order, Mr. Owen, we're not putting somebody here on
No,
trial.
I'm not putting this
I
on
understand,
Facebook.
okay, but you've made your statement in regards to that. Let's move on to the next subject, because otherwise, I'm gonna allow her to answer you back and forth.
She can answer me back. Is that her in the picture? I just need
And
to
one
know.
second,
It's not
one
her.
second.
It's a trend.
Councilwoman, are you interested in going back and forth on this, or are you not interested?
Half of this is not even real.
Okay, I know, you're not in
it's not
trial here.
real.
So I'm
That's, you
gonna
want me to suspend the rules and take roll call, pull a motion? What do you want me to do?
go ahead, finish your statements. Go ahead, finish your statements.
This is ridiculous. The mayor has a vendetta against Mr. Mackey. All these people were Mr. Mackey today. Just to let you know, you violated Act 78. It's in the paperwork. You suspended Act 78. Mr. Zahir Abdelhak put a motion, and you told him to put the motion so he won't get reelected. You know what you were doing.
Why are you so hostile and angry?
Stop! I'm not talking to you.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
Corporation Council,
I got
one
3
second.
minutes.
Interfering, everybody.
Corporation Council, one second.
Don't interrupt me.
Mr. Owen,
Interrupt
Mr.
you.
Owen,
Don't interrupt
I
me.
will.
Mr. Owen.
Don't interrupt me.
Wait,
Shame on
Corporation
you.
Council, please.
Don't interrupt me, man.
Mr.
I'm
Owen.
not talking to you.
Haas, don't make me
I
stop
got
this.
3 minutes. I know what I want.
Haas, 1 second, stop the time 1 second. Haas, please stay respectful, I'll allow you to speak. Corporation Council.
You have
he has-
a person-
1 second,
Don't
1
be
second.
disrespectful.
1 second.
I got it.
1 second. You have a right to speak. I'm allowing you the right to speak.
I understand,
But
but
do me,
he's
Mr.
interrupting
Owen,
for what?
I understand, but we don't need to get loud. I believe in the fact that you are allowed to speak, and I'm gonna allow you to speak. But please, no yelling or screaming. Thank you. Go ahead.
I stuck up for Mr. Bezzi in the beginning. Why? I didn't have enough evidence. And then when I went to Mike Mackey and I looked at the Mike Mackey thing, there's a vendetta here. There's a vendetta. All the residents know that. You're getting recalled. I'm putting it on the record. Yeah, of course, it's gonna be done. Zohair, is it done or not?
Okay,
Say something.
wait, talk through the council chair, please. Go ahead.
Just to let you know that you will be recalled. Every resident over here today don't want you in office.
Okay, but
You have not
we don't
done
need
a good job, but you are
point.
rubber
Wait,
stamp.
wait, Haas, we don't need those statements. Continue.
Chill.
A Democrat rubber stamp.
All right.
Behind Rashida, behind Al-Kabe. Man, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, for what? Because I'm sitting there talking to you? Shame on you. Shame on you. You know, for what? Shame on you.
okay.
I'm a public activist. What have you done for
Hassan.
the community but sit there and take advantage of a man that sat there in front of the residents? Shame on you. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're on top, no action. I got 3 minutes.
Okay.
I can say whatever
Let
I
him
want.
finish. If you guys don't
you're
interrupt
laughing.
him,
You
let
think
him
it's a
finish.
joke. You're going to be laughing when you're losing money because you have to pay out of your pocket because Mr. Zahir said they recalled you for Act 78 violation. We have the email. Look at it.
Okay.
Look
Thank
at
you.
the email. I got another minute. It's 3 minutes.
Got another minute.
Go ahead. Keep laughing. It's not. You think it's a joke. No, it's a joke. You're a joke to the community.
Okay.
You're not joke.
Mr. Mayor,
You're
allow me
not
to
joke. You're the biggest joke ever. Mr. Mack is sitting here not even saying a word. But you took advantage of a man that sat there and put you where you are. If it wasn't for Mr. Mack and all these people, you wouldn't be in that chair. Just remember that.
Mr. Owen,
Yes, you gotta lower your voice.
Mr. Owen,
Just
I got
remember
it.
that.
Mr. Owen,
I
let
am
me see
so
out.
sick and tired of him.
I understand,
I
Mr.
am
Owen.
sick and tired. You lied. You said this guy didn't pay. You know what? Suspend the rules. Take a roll call. Mr. Mackey deserves for you to pay the water bill. Suspend the rules and take a roll call right now.
We're not going
Put
to
the
go on
motion on
something
the
like that
floor,
right now.
Dave.
We're not gonna,
Put the
we're
motion on the
not,
floor.
just like last
Put
time.
the motion on the floor.
Just like last
Put the
time.
motion on the floor.
1 second. Just like last
You
time.
have to ask your colleagues if they wanted to put the motion on the floor.
I can ask them, no problem,
Go ahead.
but I will not vote on anything that we have no
Now put it
data
on
in
the
front
next
of us.
agenda, please. If does somebody want
That's
to
a
put it on the next
possibility.
agenda?
If somebody brings it forward, I'll add it on next agenda.
Anybody want to bring it forward, please?
I will.
Okay, thank you. It's on the next agenda.
Thank you for harassing me.
Yeah, you harassed them. You should be ashamed. Mike, please.
Mike, not from the audience, please. Mike,
You
please.
harassed this gentleman for a long time.
Done.
You sit there, make
Time's
these
out.
people come here.
Cash, you're done.
You time's up to this community.
Okay. Time's up. Thank you. Next up. Yeah, anybody can speak. Wait, Mr. Mike, I'm sorry, Mike Mackey. The gentleman was next, I'm sorry. With the hat. Go ahead, sir.
Guys, I just.
Okay, wait,
No,
one
you
second.
gotta just get out of line.
One second. I will ask again, please, no yelling, no screaming, not needed. Please state your name, city, street.
My name is John. I'm from Dearborn Heights. All right.
Street name, please.
Pardon?
Just the street name only.
John.
No, the street name.
Legal.
Oh. What
okay.
street?
Lehigh.
Okay, thank you. Go on.
All right. One of your city trees struck my house in February, okay? I kept calling, trying to get a hold of you guys. Nobody would get back a hold of me. I had remortgaged my house. I'm homeless now. I can tell everybody's doing great. My grandbabies, my great-grandbabies don't have a house to live in. Why would nobody return my phone calls? One person did. I forget his last name. It began Joe something. Out of everybody, nobody would return my calls.
So, sir, I will help you on this. So just to clarify, you're saying, please stop the time, thank you. You're saying the city tree fell and hit
Yeah.
your house, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's not put anybody on the spot. Can you do me a favor? I'm gonna allow you to finish your time, but before you leave, can you please give George your name and your phone number? And I'll ask, Director Conrad's not here.
Paperwork to get a hold of. I'm going to get lawyers now.
That's fine, sir, that's fine.
Thank
Mr.
you
Mayor,
for
can you
your.
make sure somebody from
Thank you,
administration
but
contacts
to
him?
everybody else and whichever gentleman that his name was Joe something, I'd like to thank him. But the rest, you can kiss my.
Hey, man. Sir, no need for that.
Come
Thank
on,
you.
man.
All right.
Yeah, there's.
Sir,
my
no
grandbabies
need-
don't have Papa's house.
Sir,
to live in.
we'll have somebody from administration contact you. Please give George your name and number, and somebody from the mayor's office will contact you. And I'm sorry for what happened to your home. Thank you.
I apologize.
Anybody else? Come on up.
What is going on?
Good evening, Mike Mackey, Martha Street. We have a huge disconnect in our city. It's so toxic right now. We need to come together. We really do. And we need to figure out how to mend all these wounds that we're going through. The mayor can point his finger at me all he wants, but he needs to look in the mirror and figure it out. Mayor, I wish, honestly, that you would just mend some relationships, be a little bit understanding, and reach out and help out some of your residents in a good, honorable way. I was your friend for a long time. It hurts me deeply the way you've acted and the accusations you've made about me. But time heals all things, so I wish you the best. And Council, I want to thank you today for doing the right thing. It's been 1 year of stress that I've been through, and I'm glad it's over. So hopefully we can continue to move our city forward in a positive manner, and we can all do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Come on up.
Pam Swerple, Kenmore Street,
Dearborn Heights.
Dearborn Heights. Every one of you guys most likely came through the front of the building, correct?
Correct.
How many times in the last 6 weeks have you guys come through the building?
I actually never come from the front. I always enter through the back.
Okay. Everybody else?
I'll lose the front.
Okay,
Only the
multiple
front.
times?
Yeah.
At least 15, 20? In the last 6 weeks, Mayor Bazzi had somebody put up a big, huge billboard that's probably the size of the screen that says Mayor Bazzi's Employee Recognition of Excellence. And he's got 4 windows that are trimmed out in gold with a big white spot where pictures are supposed to be put for employees that he's decided need recognition. This was 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago. They've sat empty, and all the employees that work in here have to see it. It's a huge morale killer. It basically tells the employees that they're not worth anything. I don't know what his point was to do something like that, but as a citizen, it's absolutely disgusting. And I don't know what game he's playing with these employees, but it is emotionally draining, and that's why all these employees are fleeing the city, because they don't like you, they don't trust you, and you've hurt a lot of people. And you think that this is a game, and you think that it's funny, and you continue going on and on and on, but this picture, it's still empty. It's still empty. So I don't know what game you're playing, and you'll just sit there mute and not talk to me like you always do. But what you're doing to these employees is absolutely despicable. It's disgusting. They show up to work every single day, whether it's police, whether it's fire, whether it's city employee, whether it's public, the TPOM, any of them. And all you do is disrespect them by putting a huge billboard up right there. Everybody in here, walk out. It's on the right-hand side as you walk out. Massive billboard with 3 large pictures that have sat empty for over 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 15 of the employees having to stare at this every single day. It is disgusting. Whisper to the attorney, disrespect me again as usual. It's what you always do. That's what you do. And everything's of urgency when you want things done, but you refuse to speak to anybody when they're calling you out on stuff like this. This is something simple. You're hurting the employees that are actually working for you. Why are you not doing anything about it? Your name's on here. Mayor Bazzi's Employee Recognition of Excellence. It's just disrespectful. I want every one of you guys to walk out there after this meeting and look at that, and then put yourself in the employee's shoes, having to look at that every single day. And then little snide remarks that have been made that I guess nobody is excellent enough to make the wall. It's not right. It's not how you run a city. It's just not. So I want everybody to look at that board, because I guarantee you it's probably going to sit empty again. And that's not fair to the employees. They're already underpaid and overworked. It's not right.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
I promise you I will not scream. Good evening again. First, I want to wish everybody happy Eid. The pilgrimage to Mecca was the last few days, and tomorrow is the first Islamic holiday of 4 days, where people sacrifice a lamb instead, like our prophet, our father Abraham was trying to sacrifice his son, and God sent a lamb in his place. So I wish everybody happy Eid, and I hope we enjoy it with our family. I have a question for the controller. Sorry to wake you up. Did you have any document whatsoever to show how much the city lost money due to COVID, to replace it by the $10 million? I did FOIA twice, and nobody gave me any answer. So I assume there is nothing documented from Plans Moran or anybody to show that the city really lost revenue. Did the city council receive anything from the administration? You voted to move the 10 million or 7.8 million to the general fund based on that we lost revenue. Did the city council member receive any document from Plant Moran or any audit firm that the city lost money?
That's not why we transferred that over. If you watch that meeting, which I'm going to pull up, we were told that when we move it here, the government can no longer tell us how and when we can spend it. That's why we moved it.
The mayor just said a few minutes ago.
Doesn't matter. That's not why council voted on it. What's being said then and what's being said now are two different things.
Did you receive?
Okay, allow him to finish
I'm
first.
clear with my question. Did you receive any document showing that we lost revenue? No.
I don't have nothing off the top of my head.
So nobody received anything. The money was removed. Basically, I'm going to tell you what it was removed. Because Lisa Hicks-Clayton stood here and she said to you that I don't have enough money to make the payroll, and that was early March.
Correct.
You remember that?
Correct.
And the reason, because of the mismanagement of the funds of our city.
I'm out. Council Chair, pause that. I want to pause this for a second because I did my own investigation here and I had a conversation.
Okay. Can I finish,
Okay, let
then
him
you
finish.
can
Mo,
answer
don't
me
interrupt him, please.
before you jump and you want to answer? There are 7 members, just give him a chance too, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Mo, I know you care, I know in your heart you care for this city, but please let me finish. Our treasurer said she didn't have enough money. And instead, we come and tell the public that we mismanaged, we miscalculated, we misbudgeted. We looked at the 7.8 and we moved it to the general fund. So we can cover the $3.2 million, which we didn't have to fix the golf course. And the money which we paid up to 1.35 millions to bring somebody friend to the mayor to come with his firm to tell us how to spend our money. Then we managed to approve another $1 million for the same person, the same firm, to tell us how we're going to spend money to fix the water meter in our city. So I want you just to think about this $7.8 million. It is legitimate to move money from it to give to the employees who work during COVID and put their lives on the line.
Okay.
They deserve it, and it should be put in a box before he loses it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up?
I'll just be really quick. So Najah Janoon on Whitefield Street. So I was here at that meeting, and I did get up here and speak when it was being discussed about. And Mr. Baidoon is right. It was explained that it would be unrestricted. But I do recall Mr. Muscat saying, well, it's okay because, and no offense, Mr. Muscat, but I mean, it's okay because if $1 million bill comes up, that's going to come in front of the council. And my argument was, you're not going to see it because if it's going to pay bills, it's going to be on your, and it's just going to go. You're not going to see it. So that was the whole and that was why I was against you guys approving moving that money to the general funds. Now it's obvious. The argument is there that money it's basically already earmarked for other things. So approving the 700,000, what is now going to be, what are we lacking? Like what is now not going to get paid because, so it's done, it's been moved, it's no longer restricted, and where it goes or what's already been spent of that, who knows?
Okay, thank you. For council members, keep in mind during public comments, it's not necessarily a back and forth thing. Thank you. Please say your name, city, street.
Margaret King, Dearborn Heights, Mayfair Street. I want to start off with saying thank you to our city council and the DPW employees that had went out that Saturday morning and started the process of the painting of the crosswalks surrounding our schools throughout the city of Dearborn Heights. Now we are one step closer to making our schools zone safer. Will all the school zones throughout Dearborn Heights, the city, Crestwood, Dearborn Heights, and Westwood school districts be all the same is my first question. Ever since the passing of Joey Smith, I have been doing a lot of research on school zone safety. Sadly, there are more than 1,000 fatal school transportations related crashes between 2011 and 2020. Will an average of 113 fatalities per year students have been going from to and from school. 40 students have been hit by a vehicle while walking to and from school each day, resulting in more than 15,000 injuries on an average of the annual basis. Each week in the United States, there are 15 pedestrian deaths. To resort my sources, this was found on Safe Kids Worldwide. Those are just a few that hit home for me on many of these cases of school zone crashes are preventable. Can we work together with our Dearborn Heights Police Department with having an assembly at each schools, Crestwood, D7, and Westwood school districts, with having an officer come out and talk to them about the importances of the crossing walks at the crosswalks, cross with the crossing guard, or a safety patrol student. Have 2 assemblies a year to help to show the school zone safeties, as well as can we get something together so the community knows to walk with the crossing, just help the kids. And I just want to state, when I was a crossing guard, I would walk out into the center of the street to make sure that the kids, that it was safe for them to look both ways and cross. I can't tell you how countless times that because there's no sign, there is no signage with the crosswalk, school zone, safety, anything. Signage is also important. I know the DPW, we directed that already. Is there something that we could do to help these kids? But I have almost gotten hit walking out there. That was my point of this, is that I would go walk out. The people would be stopping at the stop signs. They would swerve around because they don't have any patience and almost hit me. I'm sure if a crossing walk sign and a school zone sign was there, that could have been preventable. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can accomplish as the city council and as the residents of Dearborn Heights, the community, going forward. Thank you.
Can we take a moment of silence for Joey, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, for your passion on this issue. We appreciate it.
Anybody else in the audience before we go to Zoom? Come on up, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Simone Zagovac on Lafayette Street. I've been living with my senior parents since COVID, but I grew up in Dearborn Heights on Old Dockstader Street, and I just want to say that I haven't come to city council meeting, and it's just been a really rewarding time to be here. I think it's like democracy in action. Thank you, everybody, for everything you've done tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And I came here to talk about the fireworks. Thank you, council members, for bringing up the fireworks. There's so many things associated with fireworks, and you see a lot of stories that come out like right around the fireworks, and no one's able to do anything in it, before the next year. So I want to encourage. I know that legislators in Lansing did something bad to us by making such a permissive law, and we're stuck with it right now. I also understand that people want to, they regret their vote. And so if the city can weigh in, I know that our noise ordinance is being violated. Every other community, I read Dearborn's today. I couldn't find Dearborn Heights. It's certainly being violated. I have a pet at home that goes berserk, runs toward the fireworks, escapes. I mean, there's so many dangers, PTSD. There's so many statistics about how bad they are. And we're putting these devices in people's hands, and you probably couldn't find anyone who liked fireworks more than me. But hearing tonight what people said, I want to say one comment about trees. I do a lot of research about them. Each mature tree that we have lowers the ground temperature under it by 25 degrees. You know how hot it's getting? And the mature trees help us to lower our bills, our air conditioning bills at home. And you can sit under a tree and be comfortable in this heat. So I don't know if the city has an arborist, but I would encourage the city to look into getting some real information about this and how we can amend trees. I'm looking into statistics about how many trees fall on houses and cars. I know if it happens to you, that's an awful, awful thing. But I think that we need to think about the totality of what the role that the trees and vegetation play in the city. And I also want to thank everyone doing the work on the crosswalks, the school safety. And to say that it's not just the stop signs that are getting run, we have a real problem with red light running in the city. Lots of red lights, people are running red lights, so it's super unsafe. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stephanie Butler, Dearborn. I just wanted to talk about something that I know a lot of council members are members of this Facebook group, Dearborn Heights Rants and Complaints or whatever. So usually I'll see the council people post on people's concerns, except for this one, which I feel odd about because this seems like a very serious issue. And for those of you who don't know me, I stand up for the kids, and any injustice to kids or seniors is a quick trip to getting me on your radar. So it says there's a house on Annapolis in the South End where this adult male is standing naked inside his residence with the door open with pornography playing on the big screen in the window, and little kids, people's grandkids and stuff are playing outside in that neighborhood. And according to the police department, they can't do anything about it because he's in his home. But there's limits to that. You're in your home, but you have the door open, so you're exposing yourself to children. And I'm just wondering if you guys can look into this and see what you can do, because no kid should have to see this
What
filth.
site did you say was that? What specific?
It's the Dearborn Heights Rants and Rave page.
It was, I seen it.
Okay,
Can you stop her time for just a sec? Sergeant, can you look into this, please, if you don't mind? Police chief and have that looked into. You heard the part about.
Yeah, because it literally says, the post says,
Can you do me a favor, if you
Send
mind,
it to him.
Stephanie?
Mhm.
No, when you're done, can you at least just show it to,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sergeant Rain, and then he'll forward it to the right authority, because there's no way that's okay.
yeah, that's what I was
As
gonna.
a matter of fact, if that's the law, I'm totally against it, I'm totally not okay with
100%.
this.
Exactly. Because, I mean, I get you're in your own home. What if you walk from the shower to your bed? That's different than intentionally
No, no, no,
exposing
no.
yourself in
There's no
front
way
of your
that's
door
allowed.
with porn in the background.
I'm not an attorney, but there's no way that's allowed. If that's allowed,
That's
I
what
would be
I
the first
thought.
to make an ordinance against something like this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, can you see the sergeant,
Yeah.
please? And Sergeant, can you just pass that on to the police chief, please? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hassan Bazzi. I live in Shihan. First and foremost, I really want to thank the citizens that they come and they get engaged in the city issues. I mean, thank you guys. Thanks for you bringing the issues here.
You're one of the originals, so let's not forget that.
We're trying to do the best we can. I spoke last meeting about the Planning Commission. I read a statement, and I want to keep talking about this subject and other part of the government in this city. I want to see, I mean, I can come to you. We elected you. I can speak to you. You know, unfortunately, we can't even speak our mind, our opinion. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a big investor, and we were talking about some investments in the city. And he made a note, a comment. I'm going to bring it up. I promise you I will. About the way that some parts of the city, somebody of the city, about the appointments and how sometimes they get their ears to people in different in counties, in cities, you know, and to lead them and to tell them how to vote sometimes. This is not acceptable. That will be brought up here. I'm asking this respectful body here, especially in the Planning Commission, I mean, we need to revisit this. You need to take your role to lead the city here about how things been, how decisions been made in this city. This is a very serious issue, and this is going to be brought again and again and again. This planning commission has to be dissolved. You guys have the upper hand. I'm asking you before any next meetings, and that, because the way it's going right now, it's discouraging investors to come to the city, and especially some parts of the city that we really need to revive it, to bring business into it. And that will bring other people, I mean, they encourage other investors to come. So I'm asking you again, I brought this, I read a statement last meeting here, and I don't want to come like as a complaint and then we go sit down and come. I want you, please, as a citizen, I live in this city, encourage my family, my kids to stay around, bring some other people, investors to come to the city. I'm asking you to look into it and to take it seriously. You guys have the upper hand. You guys are voted in by the public, by the citizens. So I can't let anybody in any of the commissions that have been appointed, I mean, this is another discussion, to determine how we speak, how we talk, or how we come and invest in the city. I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, for your patience and the way that you handle these meetings. And I want to thank the body of the, even we have some differences, have different opinions, but thank you all. Thanks again for the citizen for coming and speaking up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and go to Zoom. We got somebody on Zoom here, Mr. Vince Stropkowski. Go ahead.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor, and everybody who was there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I got a quick question for the mayor.
Vince, if you don't mind, just for the record, city and street, please.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Vince Strapkowski, Dearborn Heights, Columbia Street, Wayne County. Mr. Mayor had mentioned about a meeting for the Ecorse Creek. I was wondering if he had an approximate date that county was going to hold that meeting.
Yeah, they mentioned it's gonna be 2 to 3 months when you get the card from the county, and the card will actually have a date where the town hall meeting is gonna be. So give them about 2 months.
So they haven't set an exact date yet.
But I'll keep the residents and the council informed when I get the date.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for the update on the creek. Appreciate that. One thing I wanted to talk about was item 7B, the splash pad reconstruction. I'm all for a splash pad, you know, a water park or whatever, but could it be made more economical than the one that we currently have? Make it more of a misting park where it's not using thousands of gallons of resident water. Maybe use a little less water or reclaim the water if that's possible. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the memorandum on the car lots, item 9A. How many times are you going to vote this thing in for 160 days? I mean, this has got to be the 5th or 6th time the council has voted on this. When are you going to do something about it? Or when are you going to come up with a resolution for that? Also, the other thing is the same thing on this tree ordinance. That definitely needs updating. Nobody in their right mind is going to put $300 towards a tree fund. That's just outrageous. I could see if half that money went towards the tree fund and half was for the permit to take it down. That's that on that, and I think council should come up with some sort of form or some sort of way of furthering these car lots and car washes apart. I mean, they shouldn't be stacked on top of one another. They should have at least a separation of 3 miles radius in the ordinance, if that's feasible. Thanks for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Vince. Nobody else on Zoom? Come on up.
Mike Hashem. I just want to get to something that's.
Street and city, please.
I don't think I have to say that.
Street and city.
I live in the hood. Anyways,
Starting the clock.
the main thing is I'd like to say you guys need to figure out. I overheard a phone call right now in the hallway about the missing money. Just to let you know, you guys got to figure out. And the person that was sitting there, the controller, was talking to somebody on the phone, talking about if we get audited, we're going to be in deep trouble. Just to let you guys know that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the audience? All right, seeing none.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Baidoon. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, good night.